All right, well, everybody, what is up? We are live. We are back for the Tuesday night live stream. We've got a fun one, a Time Machine Tuesday. We're going to relive a classic album, one of the great works in just music history, period. Hey, yo, say whatever year, genre, people, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever filter qualifications you want to label there to try to find the list. It does not matter. The classic album, King by T.I., dropped 20 years ago. Is one that we will be visiting, one that will, like you said, will be on all those lists that we're saying. Tchaikovsky and T.I. Hey, yo, shout out. But I guess, if we're talking musically, but hey, yo, we do have some NBA on in the background as well, too, of course. We will get to the album revisit in a second. And I guess some NBA, some fun stuff in just the basketball world in general. I did see on ESPN, I guess maybe started up right now, is the McDonald's All-American game. So maybe we need to, keep an eye on some of the names. Obviously, March Madness is winding down. We get the Final Four this weekend. But, always paying attention to try to see, who's going to be impacting those future, those games. Obviously, we could get an update. I know we've been looking at some of the classes as well, but it's never like the McDonald All-Americans is an exact one for one of like the 24/7 sports rankings or the ESPN rankings where you pull it up, it's just like the top, 24 guys is the list. There is at least a little bit of, selectivity to it, shout out, so we could make sure. I guess, wasn't Bronny a McDonald's All-American? I guess, Bronny, shout out, earned, not given, chat. Hey, yo, every step of the way. But what are we saying? So we do have that to check out as well. But I did see also that, did they actually just announce the Basketball Hall of Fame class? Of course, not just the NBA Hall of Fame, but the Basketball Hall of Fame. So looks like we did see some fun names. I saw Amari's name, so that's what got me intrigued. I was like, hey, yo, what's going on? Actually, when I was on the basketball page, let's see if we can find the headline over here. And again, we're in the NBA page of ESPN, so I should have used context clues, but it says Stoudemire and Rivers, part of Hall of Fame class. So at first, I should have used context clues that I was the NBA, but as I was staring at the headline, I was like, wait, Phillip Rivers is making the Hall of Fame? Didn't he just play a game? Like, he was just playing for the Colts a couple of weeks, in like week 15. So, and then I was like, I cannot think, and maybe this is a challenge for the, AO chat, if you could think of a guy, and again, maybe I should know the name, but I couldn't think of a Stoudemire in the NFL, or a Hall of Fame worthy Stoudemire. So then I was like, are they announcing the NFL and the NFL and the NBA classes together? I don't necessarily remember them doing that, because the NFL has their Hall of Fame game, at the start of the preseason. But I guess they would announce the class earlier, so it could be around this time. But I was like, hey, shout out to Stoudemire and shout out to Phillip Rivers. But I think Phillip Rivers does have to wait a couple years. Again, he is still playing. So just because he may not be, active for a season, does there need to be a rule change with that? Because again, it's not like he is actively playing. He did reset his Hall of Fame candidacy. I didn't even think about that. Maybe in some ways that, I guess, who knows if that'll benefit him or not. Obviously, the Hall of Fame does have a little bit of a backlog in some sense of some names wanting to get it. I mean, Bill Belichick, is going to have to wait around. So, again, maybe Phillip Rivers wouldn't have necessarily been the first name up the first year that he was up for eligibility. I guess Eli is now on his second turn around. But again, it's not like, I feel like it, bigger picture, like Eli is going to get into the Hall of Fame for sure. Shout out. Like there'll be a year where it makes sense for his name to work his way in there. I think we said before, there's other legends as well too that just, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys. Shout out, pause. But again, we should have used context clues. And I guess, I don't know, hot take. Did we not think that Doc Rivers was going to be making the Hall of Fame this year? I think maybe we should phrase it, that's the surprising part. This year, right? An active head coach. I'm trying to think of the active head coach. I guess Mark Few joining him as well too. Shout out to Gonzaga head coach. And in some ways, is Mark Few the Doc Rivers of college basketball? I'm not really sure what that comparison is, but I think Pop, of course, got into the Hall of Fame as an active head coach. I mean, did coach? I mean, again, I'm sure the list runs long if Doc Rivers is getting in but he is a shout out of an all-time coach. What does it say here? Maybe it said in the ESPN article. like 8th in all-time wins. So I know he's been around for a minute, but I guess I didn't realize it was, did we say we didn't realize it was that successful? Hey, yo, chat. But, obviously, again, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, 8th all-time in wins at almost 1,200 at this point. So you imagine, I guess I don't know exactly how long Doc Rivers is going to coach for, per se. How old is Doc Rivers? Let's take a look here. And I'm not talking about Milwaukee. That's obviously a different conversation. Doc Rivers, again, just him coaching in the NBA in general. What do we got? 61, October 13th, Doc Rivers' birthday episode. The 65th Doc Rivers birthday celebration. Call in Doc Rivers on the 13th. We'll wish you a happy birthday. But I guess not to, not to expose his personal information, but 65 years old this year. So I could, Doc still has a decade of coaching in him at this point. If he really, obviously does he want to spend time with his family, or does he want to spend time in the, what do you want to do? Hey, yo. So obviously, shout out, he'll be coaching for another 10 years. It is what it is. But yeah, again, I guess if he coaches for another 10 years and I guess we could look into the rules. Like, why do the coaches get the active clause, I guess, and the players don't? In a way, like, I mean, if you had to induct players into the Hall of Fame, of course, you could immediately say LeBron, and I mean that's obviously 100% correct. But there's a ton of guys. I mean, you put Wemby in the Hall, but like Steph and Durant, obviously, all three of those guys. If we're inducting guys into the Hall of Fame, I mean, again, obviously, we know some of the guys that if they retired right now, their careers are good enough for them to be in the Hall of Fame. Not necessarily looking at the Basketball Reference Hall of Fame percentage, but even like Kawhi Leonard, if you could actively, I guess, and then again, it would obviously go to more of who would be their, who was Kawhi up against if we're, also inducting active players. But and then you say, well, what's the line? I guess you just vote for him whenever, and whenever you accumulate enough votes, and it's like, hey, you're in at that point. I guess then that just kind of alleviates all the the time career retirement rules, I guess, for the Hall of Fame if we were opening up for players like that. But because like Shea, you say like when does I guess they have a picture of Shea right here for the MVP race video that they're promoing. But if Shea won the right, if he retired right now with one MVP, one title, it's definitely a case. Some really, I guess I was gonna say solid pause, but some really honestly great regular seasons these last couple of years, but specifically last complete regular season and then the playoff run, like we're saying on top of that. But the MVP regular season, like a really incredible season. But is the totality of the career enough at this point to be a Hall of Fame career? A second MVP is not nothing at that point. Even a second title, again, even if it is a shorter regular season resume at that point, hey, we brought him up a time or two before, we'll bring him up again. But it's the Mahomes thing of it, where obviously the playoff success compounds the legacy in a way. So if the Thunder are able to have that this year, maybe you make a case where, again, Shea doesn't have necessarily, it's not like once you win your second, or maybe it is something like that. Once you win an MVP, you're automatically eligible to be voted for. Once you play for 15, it could be something like that. Once you hit the 15-year mark for career and or time, once you hit 15 years from being in the NBA, then you're eligible or something like that. So, if you play 13 and then you're retired for 2, then you're eligible. Or again, if you play for 17 years, maybe you get inducted in, like Chris Paul maybe gets inducted in, and maybe he played, how long did Chris Paul end up playing for? Maybe we induct Chris Paul like right after he got waived by the Clippers to make him feel a little bit better. And did he sign with the Clippers specifically for the farewell tour, right? That's like, this is my franchise. Hey, yo, let's one last run. Let's see what happens. But I guess let's see what we got here for 21 years. So again, if we go the 15-year rule, he could have been inducted into the Hall of Fame like while he's playing in Houston. And then 3 more MVP level seasons, I guess, after being a Hall of Famer. I'm not against it. Again, who cares? It's not like Chris Paul would have not been a Hall of Famer before that, and obviously he continued to prove, he just continued to move up the rankings in the Hall of Fame, I guess, after that. So again, obviously that's the difference as well too, is the Hall of Fame is sort of obviously it's a vague threshold, but it's it's different than debating Chris Paul versus Isaiah. It's like, okay, they're both in the Hall of Fame. That's a completely different argument than, again, like what is the the level of the legacy, if we're making the list and having the fun arguments that way. And then again, like you're continuing to add to the career stuff as the career goes on. But I don't see why. Do we have to ask ChatGPT? Hey yo, let's see what's going on. Why can coaches get into the Hall of Fame for I almost said for free because it says sign up for free. The coaches get into the Hall of Fame for free. Hey yo, let's log in here and see what we have got going on. But why can coaches, like we're saying, get in while they are actively? You could say, I guess, just the fact that they could coach, of course, until, they could coach until the end, I guess you could say. That would obviously be a very specific, set of circumstances. Obviously, some guys retire before that would even happen, or retire as it's a clear where it's like, I would not. And, again, the NBA is like a pretty grueling profession. So the ability to be able to keep up with that is different than, even like announcing or something like that, where maybe you're able to even, ride that pause, like ride that out a little bit longer than, some of the other stuff. But let's see here, hey, yo. But why do basketball coaches get into the Hall of Fame while active and players don't? There you go. So now you guys know word for word what the what the search is. Let's see what we have got going on here. Did we get the page back up and going? We did. Okay. Shout out. The fact that we remembered to check, I feel proud. But it means we'll probably unplug the mic here in a second. But let's see. It says, okay, players like Michael Jordan, coaches like Greg Popovich. And again, we're not arguing against the coaches being inducted while they're active. We're just saying maybe, give the players the same leniency as well too. Taurasi. Hey, yo, like lock it in. Taurasi. Wait, so does it say anything? It says must fully retire. Great question. It mostly comes down to how careers are evaluated differently. Must be fully retired. Reason: their legacy is tied to career totals, peak performance, and awards. Voters want a complete picture. For example, blah, 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 blah. Again, coaches like Greg Popovich can be inducted while still active. Why? It's judged on more long-term influence, system building, cultural and legacy impact. It does kind of, again, like literally you lay the arguments out that way, and it seems like it should be kind of flipped around, where if it's based on scoring milestones, championships, and MVP, again, just to cross like a Hall of Fame threshold, you don't need necessarily a complete picture to do that. You need the complete picture to see where they would land. There it is. We jinxed it. We called it. I don't know which way you want to phrase it, but either way, it happened. It happened. So shout out. We did. I guess, and you caught us. We didn't get the duct tape we promised again from the last live stream. So IT, write it down. It is what it is. But again, if you're judging the coaches based off of long-term influence, system building, culture, and legacy, I mean, that is actually more. What do you say? That more there's more ebbs and flows with that over time. So you could outlive your cultural legacy. Like, could a coach, again, if a coach is based on, like, could a coach, the legacy of a coach, if their influence starts to favorably, and I guess if their influence at one time was, again, crazy, and then you're looking back being like, this was a segment of the league where it was really down like that, I guess that just makes sense there. So, obviously it doesn't need to be eternal. And it's like, we're trying to argue against Phil Jackson for Greg Popovich here. It's like the triangle. Nobody runs the triangle anymore, but everybody will run motion. What was Greg Popovich's basically was just like, teamwork, run around. It wasn't necessarily like a specific offensive set, per se. It was like, let's evaluate talent great in the draft process and then make sure that they pass the ball when they're out on the court. They're going to, and, again, you wouldn't necessarily think of Popovich as like a revolutionary when it pertains to like the 3-point shooting element of it. But regardless, I mean, the team still was that movement team and did have guys, especially again, right before, I mean, in that Heat run, in that later run of the Big Three, when of course Kawhi Leonard was still emerging as a player. I mean, that was a perimeter-oriented team where you had, again, even Boris Diaw running stuff out of the post could step out and hit a three. Again, Kawhi, I mean, Tony Parker, I mean, but he did, even at that point, he could he did really had that corner three really worked on at that point. And I mean, hey, obviously Tony Parker cooking in a quarter and he's pulling up from the wing for three. You're going to trust him in a moment when he feels like taking that shot. But that corner three did become pretty automatic there for him over the course of his career as well, too. And again, that was even before the Warriors really started to, bring it to the forefront, the mainstream of this is the way basketball is gonna be. I mean, hey that's Greg that's Popovich. Don't give Steph Curry the credit. Give it to Greg Popovich. Pause. Hey But I guess that's not the point. The point we're trying to make is I feel like this is wrong. I feel like the Hall of Fame could probably be reworked in many ways, but I'm just saying equality for the players. Hey it is what it is. I guess we don't necessarily have to argue with the Chat GPT about it. I feel like we've made our case pretty clear. So. Obviously, I feel like is the Hall of Fame gonna log in one day and be like, ChatGPT, has anybody submitted any really great ideas? I guess we'll just have to see. But shout out. I feel like we're saying maybe a 15-year just mark in general would be good, because I mean it's like that for eligibility for getting drafted, where it's not necessarily specific on how you have to spend your time, I guess, before the NBA. You just have to have a certain time spent between high school and the NBA. And, again, guys and there obviously is eligibility rules as well, too, that have applied in terms of the NCAA for guys getting there. Again, that was LaMelo's case for him playing overseas, as he wasn't necessarily, again, because of the agent rules at that time, allowed to participate in the NCAA, so the man had to go to Lithuania. Hey, it is what it is. I guess close enough. But either way, like we're saying, it doesn't matter for the NBA eligibility. The only thing that mattered was he had spent a proper amount of time at, according to the NBA rules, as we phrase it that way, the proper amount of time between the high school and the drafting eligibility. So, again, just because there you have I guess just one season. It's 3 seasons for the NFL, I guess. It's 1 season for the NBA. So you do, I mean, and you've talked about, of course, the argument for, do you just make it so guys, of course, can just forego the college year and just go right to the NBA? I mean, again, why does it have to be the same for the Hall of Fame? Why do they have to have the waiting period of eligibility for, again, getting into the Hall of Fame? Just if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. It is what it is. And maybe, should Steph Curry be in the Hall of Fame? I mean, I guess should Bill Belichick be in the Basketball Hall of Fame before Doc Rivers? I don't know. It's shout out. I guess the Basketball Hall of Fame has nothing to do with Bill Belichick, but Hall of Fames across the globe have, it brought down the name of all the Hall of Fames. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I think maybe some of the other Hall of Fames, have moments as well too. But that's unfortunately a bad one. It is what it is. But and shout out to Doc Rivers as well too. I guess he's probably not going to call in for his birthday if we keep trying to argue him out of the Hall of Fame. Again, that's not the case. Even Mark Few as well. Like we're saying, I guess Mark Few won a title. I guess you don't have to win a title to be a Hall of Famer necessarily. But shout out again. I feel like if we just started the list blank and just said okay, just rank the and that's part of it. Again, that's. If we're just ranking everybody in NBA history and their importance to the game, there's just going to be a certain order to it. And there's obviously going to be guys that have, preceded other guys that have, as the game evolves, again, like we're saying, their style, their influence, their direct impact, their competitiveness against other people, all that stuff's going to fade in time. But again, if we're still evaluating it in the in the moment, I don't know where we're, shout out again. I guess what's the threshold? And it's a tricky one as well too for Doc, because again he did win that title. That's a very confusing title there. He won in Boston. I mean, that's a great team. And like we're saying, we're reading, he's 8th in wins. And like we saw, I mean, it's not like he's a bad coach. It's not like we would ever say Doc Rivers is a bad coach. Obviously you bring him in if you want your team to, he can be a consistent 50, you don't even have to, again, try to degrade the regular season success to look at the playoff success. And I guess regular season success is very, very important to the Hall of Fame as well too. It's not just all based on playoff success. But either way, I don't know how you weight it one way or the other. But, they're the Basketball Hall of Fame's obviously been generous with regular season success. And again, what am I going to sit here and say that, that's not cool to sit here and award that, or that's not, impactful in winning. Because at the end of the day as well, too, and, maybe as we've seen the last decade or so, there has been a little bit more variety. Obviously, Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, I guess we had Steph and LeBron, like at the beginning of the decade there, 1920-ish. I guess Steph after Giannis. But, either way, again, for obviously there hasn't been that consistent champion year after year the way that we had with, I guess just LeBron, winning every year. It is what it is. Or, at least being in the finals there every year. But, either way, we haven't had a champion quite develop that consistency yet at this point. But, again, either way, the success and the impact that the guys that don't necessarily win the titles have is still, important to remember. Because like we're saying, most of the time, there is like one or two or a handful of, there's just a couple of guys that elevate throughout the course. And that's kind of all sports as well too. I mean, of course, in basketball, again, you can very easily go back and track the best players and the multi-time, league dominant champions and the guys that are in the finals every year. Obviously, the 90s Jordan. Before that, Magic making the 9 out of 12 is underrated, is one of the most underrated things in an NBA career, I think, that anybody has done at this point. Obviously, winning 5 is just as, impressive as anything as anybody's ever done. Again, MJ in Bill Russell, and I guess maybe, obviously like the Robert Horry, some of the role guy tier guys, but for the main player guys, and I guess Kareem as well too, but there's only a couple that have more than Magic, but the 9 and 12 is crazy as well too. But, again, for the most part, it is that one or two guys that really dominate. So you do have to make room for the guys that aren't necessarily gonna, be short from winning the titles and always having the pause the longest playoff runs of everybody. But still, again, shout out to Doc Rivers is all that we're saying. And I guess, Amari as well too. It is a fun playoff class, I guess, from that side. But I guess, are we more comfortable with Amari as a player than Doc as a coach? I mean, I guess we're just biased. We just like Amari more as a player. It is what it is. Shout out. Amari was just fun. Doc Rivers was a fun player as well too. He's, dribbling around, throwing passes and stuff, but obviously Amari was great. And we mentioned the other day that we were watching Carlos Boozer classic games, but before that we were watching Joe Johnson classic games, and we decided to throw on, obviously Joe Johnson Hawks era is, well, I guess Joe Johnson Nets era is great as well too. I mean, every era of Joe Johnson, shout out, but Joe Johnson's Hawks era is probably his, best as a player / he was the lead guy on that team. But Phoenix, of course, is the best overall team that he played on. And I still have to go back and double check why they traded him as well too. That's gonna be a summer project for the Rem and Sam pod. Why did Phoenix trade? I mean, it could be simple. Or was it a sign and trade again? I don't even know. I just why did Phoenix let this guy go? What happened? Again, it could be a I guess a reasonable basketball answer. Again, I'm not saying it's the right answer, but it could be, I guess, explainable. There could be an explanation. It is what it is. But regardless, and again, we're not gonna be mad. I'm sure it would have been more difficult for the Spurs to win playoff series if he was there in Phoenix. But either way, we decided to throw on some Phoenix era Joe Johnson games, and we were watching. Maybe we were watching Phoenix versus the Jazz. I don't know. It's been a Phoenix, Jazz, Denver Nuggets rotation. Carmelo Anthony, that era. So just kind of, I guess some Tracy McGrady Rockets with those playoff series, the Jazz Rockets. So, just kind of watch those teams. So I guess it might have been a Suns Denver game that we were watching. But Joe Johnson, Carmelo Anthony battle, is that what it was? Again, it was just, we just needed something lightly. Just a little classic NBA game on lightly in the background. It is what it is. But, and we did just find this playlist as well, too, of 500 games. It's just classic 90s NBA games. So, we've been adding to the DVD stack lately. We might have to move away from that for the late night, fall asleep rotation. It might have to be this YouTube playlist of classic NBA games. I don't know how, pause. I don't know how long it's going to take us to work through 500 YouTube videos, I guess. Just keeping that playlist on. It is what it is. Is that as long as pause 100? Is how many hours is that compared to the 100 gigs drop that Drake had? Because when that dropped, there is a guy that compiled that all into a video. I think it's like a 17-hour video. And we were just like, well, I guess this is the background video for the next 17 hours. It is what it is. Just, I guess we'll just, walk in from work and be like, oh, Drake's in the studio again. It is what it is. But, so now I guess, like we're saying, classic 90s games. Maybe we'll link the playlist to the pod channel. I guess, hey, technology, can we do that? IT, I don't know. Is one of you whippersnappers back there know how to link a playlist to a channel? But, we were watching some Amari games there. So, again, we just, Amari's obviously one of the great entertaining players that we've had, especially of that 2000s era, for sure. I mean, was there a more entertaining player than Amari? But, I mean, you think about it as well, too, just in terms of, again, that value. I mean, you could make your case. I guess, what do you have, LeBron in the league at that time? Again, there's going to be guys. It is what it is. So, I guess LeBron's probably a little bit more exciting than Amari. And, trades like Vince Carter, because you do have, I guess, the ability for some of those athletic guards or some of those athletic forwards, of course, to create for themselves a little bit more than Amari. But regardless, again, he was still very, very capable of that as well, too. And, would have maybe become more, obviously, of an not ISO focused, but, just that would have been a part of his game that would have to develop more if he didn't have to play with. I say he didn't have to play with Steve Nash. Of course, on the other hand, he was very, very fortunate to play with Steve Nash because one of the great floor general guys to play with a forward like that, going to the basket with his athleticism. But again, the point is more that he, I think, would have been capable either way. In that it's just, again, a great thing competitively as well that they were able to be together as teammates. And again, like you think about just how that lineup sounds. I mean, we can, I guess, double check when Joe Johnson actually got there. Was he on the 62 in 20 Suns? He had to have been. They're winning 62 games without Joe Johnson. You're telling me? No, of course not. There we are. Year 3, Joe Johnson. I guess, what was he, like, 01 draft? Maybe we need to go back and check on that. So, he was 17 a game. By the way, I mean, Joe Johnson, Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire, Quentin Richardson, Steve Nash, and then Jim Jackson off the bench as well, too. Shout out. But, I mean, that's just, again, that's a pretty strong starting five. It is what it is. And, even Quentin Richardson as your fifth man is still like a league-leading 8 threes a game. I guess a little light on the percentage at 38.5, 35.8. 38 would have been nice, I guess, for them. But Amari, 26 a game this year. 9th in MVP voting, 2nd in the All-NBA. And I guess, what do you have? Also Garnett in the league at this time as well, too. Yao Ming. Who are the other forwards that are taking these All-NBA spots? Emeka, of course, Rookie of the Year. I was like, where was he at in All-NBA voting? Hey, yo, that's crazy. Him and Ben Gordon, I didn't realize they were that good that year. But Rookie of the Year, and I guess they were balling out. Shout out. This is a pro Ben Gordon pod. I don't know if we've, made that stance a lot over the years, but this is a pro Ben Gordon pod. Shout out. This is pro guys that like playing offense. It is what it is. Guys that it's just like, okay, if Ben Gordon showed up to a pickup game, it's just like, carry us to victory, Ben Gordon. Shout out, take all the, I guess at some point, obviously a little corner three or something, you do want the teammates to get involved. But I mean, we've said it before, Chad. I like, your boy likes throwing passes out there on the court. It is what it is. I guess now, we're dissing Steve Nash earlier, where, the comparisons are starting to line up. But I would say not necessarily, a Steve Nash, I guess we have to be a Steve Nash type. But I guess, either way, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Are we allowed to be a Jason Kidd type? Jason Kidd with a 3-point jumper? Oh, yeah, Chet, there we are. We're a better game than Jason Kidd. It is. But, Jason Kidd, if he played it, I would say Jason Kidd, if he played it, no, we're not as good at passing. I guess hot take, we're not as good of a passer as Jason Kidd. I guess we'll admit it, chat. We'll admit it. Are we as good of a passer equivalently? What level of game do we have to be Jason Kidd? To be a Jason Kidd level player. I mean, we have been on courts where we have been, again, I guess, as dominant as Jason Kidd, but it's been a bad game. Hey, yo, I'm not saying it's been a competitive game. I'm just saying those games have existed at some point. And, Kidd is a good one, I guess, to compare it to in the sense that he didn't necessarily always score 20 a game or have to. Obviously, he could. He was a bucket getter, make no mistake. But, he could have like a 14 and 10 in 12 stat line as well too. I guess that's the type of stat line we could have in the pickup. I guess we've done pickup stat lines in the past before, but that low scoring. I guess it doesn't have to be low scoring, but it just has to be low scoring, I guess, because you play to 11, so we can only score 11 points in a pickup game. But that low scoring triple double, like an 11, 11, 11. Hey yo, just a good luck game. I don't know, but what do we? Oh, defensive player of the year. Voting, what are we looking for? All NBA. We're looking for Amari. Hey, yo. Amari, the center that year. Yeah, Shaq. Oh, Shaq in Miami, first team. Hey, yo. I didn't realize he was first team in Miami, but shout out. And then, yeah, Duncan and, Dirk as well, too. Yeah, obviously. At that time. I mean, Dirk obviously ascends the legacy run in 10-11. But the regular season stuff that Dirk was doing at that time, I mean, that does get lost a little bit. I think that version of Dirk, and make no mistake, I mean, that the version of Dirk that makes that finals run versus the Mavs, like even everybody that was rooting against, rivals of the Mavs at that time. I mean, the Spurs and the Mavs were rivals. It is what it is. So, I mean, as Spurs fans, as young Spurs fans, when you're sports hating people as a kid, we were sports hating Dirk. It is what it is. Chad, just that 06, 07, I guess, that, and that year where it's Mavs Heat in the finals as well, too. It's not going to be a year where we're fond of Dirk if you're a Spurs fan. But again, just like that Dirk with that, like, that blonde flowing hair, that little goatee. Oh, Chad, even still, I can't stand it. It is what it is. Oh man, it's honestly one of the top annoying players in NBA history, just Dirk, and it's a compliment. Again, it's a compliment. I'm talking about myself as like a little, a mini me watching sports games back in the day, just being like, who is this guy just making all these shots over 10 dunk? Like, how is this possible? Like, how is Dirk just hitting these little fade? Like, he shouldn't be this good at making jumpers. It is what it is. But, again, he was so respected in that run that by the end of it, you're just like, man, this is crazy. A little bit more of a veteran, kind of calmed down. Maybe Dirk had a little attitude back in the day as well, too. Maybe it wasn't, the clean Spurs way that we were used to cheering for. Shout out, stand-up team. But, again, that is obviously beloved Dirk. But just how potent Dirk was as an offensive player in the 2000s is crazy. It's crazy. I mean, hey, yo, I guess you can't necessarily, I guess you have Kobe in the 2000s. I was going to say, is he the best shot maker in the 2000s? Again, you probably have to give that to Kobe for just tough jumper ability. And, maybe Kobe I guess they both probably found themselves equally in, equally tough jumpers. Again, maybe, they both, is relish the right way to use that word? Pause. I don't know. They both relish the opportunity to do that. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Obviously, rest in peace, Kobe. But, again, I think he's, shout out Dirk might be, well, there's another guy whose name we won't say. I guess he's maybe sitting on second team All NBA, and maybe he's starting a movie with Denzel Washington, and maybe it's one of the only Denzel Washington DVDs we wouldn't get because we will not allow a movie starring that guy in the studio. It is what it is. I guess maybe it can be on the TV, but it can't be physically present. It cannot be physically present in the studio because of what he did to San Antonio in the finals. Again, I guess it's, that's not even a compliment. I guess it is. That's just devastating. It is what it is. But in terms of the year over year just impact to the team, I think Dirk might be the most he might be the most annoying person that we rooted for. Rooted against as, rooting for Spurs as Spurs fans. He might be, hey, we're Spurs fans, clarify. But most annoying person probably would have been Dirk. But so I guess the point is it's not Amari. I guess shout out is what we're saying for the class of 2020, 2026. But again, Phoenix is right there for top of the rivals. And like we're saying, this year specifically, I guess tough playoff series loss to San Antonio. There's obviously that I guess, is that this year or was that a couple years later where they had the whole Steve Nash, Robert Ory incident? I mean, not that that would have changed anything, but people like to bring it up. It is what it is. But yeah, shout out for Amari making the Hall of Fame. That is, great stuff to see him getting the gold jacket there. And Candace Parker and Elena Del Don as well too, joining the Hall of Fame. Del Don, one of the early WNBA superstars that we remember seeing, like, and just like, for us as fans as well too. And not to say, and again, not to say that people before that like didn't capture us, and not to say that again, we only were that just because it wasn't marketed, maybe we were watching it, like, it was out there, it could have been sought out, again, maybe we just needed it placed in front of us because we're bad at searching that stuff out. We need to be better. But I remember like seeing her shoe commercials and seeing her around as an athlete. She's in that really, really iconic. Do we have to pull up that Nike commercial? I bet if we Google Nike snow commercial, I guess, I don't know, but let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, Nike snow day commercial. Iconic stuff. When is this from? I guess the commercial, I was gonna say 3 years ago. That doesn't seem right. 10 years ago? Is that right? Here we go. Ndamukong Suh, did he post that to himself? I guess there's a Antonio Brown, a CT ESPN video on here maybe. That's a snow day. But yeah, okay, a decade ago. That does seem about right. So let's see what we got here, I guess, for the career, I guess, for Del Don. But yeah, the shoes as well too. I remember when those dropped. But yeah, 13, I guess, in Chicago, but Washington in 17. I'm trying to maybe it was 16. I guess 16 is what we're seeing for like 15, 16 for the commercial. And I would associate, I initially associate her with Washington, but there's an MVP here, obviously, great career throughout, great run to start in Chicago, but I guess the ring as well too was accomplished in Washington as well. But yeah, can we get like a cast of the snow day commercial? I mean, this is crazy. Are we gonna get copyrighted? Hopefully not. This is iconic stuff. OBJ, hey yo, of course, Apex Mountain OBJ there. It is what it is. Of course, I don't know, YouTube, they're not gonna load until the State Farm ad is done. It is what it is. Something seems sketchy. Hey yo, a Gronk, and starting off with the Gronk feet to open. I don't know, would they do that in 2026? I'm not sure. But hey yo, Gronk with the head right through the glass window as well too. Pause. But I feel like the way that we've been casting Gronk hasn't changed for the last 10 years. But I mean, in some ways as well too, it's still working. Obviously, it's just moved into a different thing. He's on game day now, and obviously Gronk is a smart guy. Like, I mean, he's one of the great tight ends of all time. You literally don't, I guess Brady is the one quarterback that you could actually stumble into being one of the greatest tight ends with. Kuechly just tossing the weight. Oh, OBJ, what a catch. Hey, yo. Somehow didn't just completely rip his rotator cuff. We might have to inspect those weights. It is what it is. Oh, Roethlisberger. Hey, yo, PG, this would have been post-injury maybe. I'm not sure exactly, where the timeline would have been there. So maybe seeing him, back healthy in the fold is good as well too. I guess, did Antonio Brown repost that? Or did somebody repost that? I don't know, because I guess he is in there as well too. But that's just one team, right? Oh yeah, because Ndamukong Suh has the other team. Hey, yo. And we honestly need a part two. We need a part two where we see what the other team does. Marcus Mariota. Okay, I think we're good, chat. We're good. It is what it is. Le'Veon Bell, Draymond Green. Oh, chat, this team's getting smoked. It is what it is. Hockey, I guess we're not familiar with the hockey player. And, oh, there we go, Del Don. So, I mean, you start going Del Don and Draymond versus Paul George. I guess who was the other basketball player for Gronk's team? But, and Gronk versus Ndamukong Suh is a crazy matchup as well, too. Did those guys ever play? Those guys are going to get hurt in this game. It is what it is. Can we simulate this game? We might have to simulate the Nike Snow Day game. It is what it is. Here, let's see if ChatGPT can pull up the rosters here. If we ask it to, let's see, can you sim the Nike snow day game. Hey, yo. Everybody just doing lines, playing pickup football. It is what it is. Oh, chat, Team LeBron. Oh, it's way off. It is what it is. Okay, let's see if we can get a list here of what is going on for this cast. Oh, here we go. We got something. Gronk, Sue, Beckham, McCoy, Kuechly, Roethlisberger. Oh, Eric Weddle making an appearance there as well, I guess. But let's see here. Reddit. Do we have who are all the athletes? We need them by team, not by just in general. They haven't sort of power ranked. They're not power ranked, I guess, but just, listed out in some way. 21. So is it a 10v11? What's happening there? Lauren Fisher, Paula Finley, Marlon Esparza. Yeah, Ellie Deladon. Eugene Bouchard, Canadian professional tennis player. Hey, yo. I guess is Nadal not a not a Nike athlete? Who's Djokovic? I mean, those guys were dominant a decade ago. Andy Murray as well? I'm not sure. Steven Stamkos, NHL Tampa Bay Lightning. Maybe that was the guy with the hockey stick. Hey, yo. That we saw. Sidney LaRue, American professional soccer player, Olympic gold medalist as well. So I guess I don't know if we can actually find the teams that were here. Hey, yo, I mean, it is what it is, Chad. Are we going to be able to get a positive ID on every player that is present in the video? It is what it is. Oh, in order of appearance, I guess is how they're listed. Oh, chat. Reddit with some opinions. What do we got? We're going to have to do research, I guess, on how they appear. We'll sim the Nike Snow game next time. Hey, yo. It is what it is, because we're going to have to, I guess, go through and see. And I guess when they introduce Sue's team, well, wait, when did they introduce Sue here in the video? It says he's the second athlete that appears. Hey, yo. But it was his team that's the last team, of course, that gets jumped over. I mean, hey, yo, really, giving Gronk a good compliment there with the camera work in the opening scene. I guess, yes, Sue with the snowball throw across the street, and then he goes off to assemble his team, I guess, is what happened. So, shout out. I guess, again, we need the part 2, and then LaShawn McCoy next up. Yeah, LaShawn McCoy, Kuechly, Roethlisberger, Paula Finley is the athlete that would show up after that. Yeah, Kuechly in the garage. Hey, yo, what a setup, chat. Hey, yo, jealous? It is what it is. I mean, this is all you need. Just some dumbbells and a bench. I mean, everything after that is just, machines are just easier dumbbells to pick up. Is that all that is? Just making the dumbbells easier? Dumbbells with a strap. Pause. Whoa. Hey, yo. It is what it is. But, I mean, this is perfect, Chad. This is honestly goals. This is goals. Some landscaping equipment in the back. We might pause. We might not. Hey, yo. We might not even, if we ever have a home gym, who knows if we'll even have a yard or if we'll even, upkeep it ourselves. Again, we tread lightly as we, use this here phrasing. But, either way, we're gonna have the equipment stationed in the garage gym. It is what it is, just for the feel, just to keep it around. And I guess, it doesn't look like he has any saws or anything too crazy, but just some light equipment. And no, honestly, no snow shovels. I don't know we should honestly as well too talk about the fact that this is staged because it's in the middle of winter and there's no shovels, no snow blower. I guess pause. He's probably got a crew that would handle the maintenance for him. And who's to say that, again, a snow day, maybe this is not a place that gets snow typically. Is this like an LA situation? Like an off-season, I guess, what would off-season LA, what's like the middle of winter snow day? What, hey, yo, what was going on in Hollywood this day that so much snow is raining down on the city in the middle of summer? But, either way, and that's why it's not so cold out. This is still some lightly dressed athlete wear. I guess, Nike, obviously, probably very insulated. It is what it is. But, still, obviously, and I guess you're going to be pretty warmed up from playing a football game as well, too. But you got the punching bag in the background. I guess there is like a oil. Hey, yo. we got oil in here. Somebody needs to launch an investigation. But yeah, I guess I don't know where his snow shovel is at. Pause. It is what it is. It seemed, or maybe he was using it. Maybe he was using it. Do we need a shot of the driveway to see if it was fixed? Nope. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't even look like the city has been out yet, chat. We're calling them out. This is probably a dead-end neighborhood, though, so they're not even, this is going to be one of the last ones that they get to. It is what it is. But that sometimes can work in your favor or against. Just like, will the teacher, will your boss believe you when you call them and tell them that they haven't gotten to your street yet? You're like, I'm telling you, we're 15 miles away from the city in a dead-end street. They're actually never going to get there. It's just up to me to plow the road, pause, and I just decided not to. So I guess I can't go into work. It is what it is. But then, yeah, Sue's team so where does he go? Again, yo. I mean, that's a pretty easy walk down the street there for Gronk. And that's obviously, again, one pretty defined row of houses there as well, too. Le'Veon Bell, no regard for the fence. I guess everybody knows. And that guy's just there the whole time as well, I guess. We didn't even notice that. But, yeah, he is just hanging out. I guess as a hockey player, is it okay to make a Husky comparison there? Where you're just like, I guess the guy just likes the snow? Again, yo. Pause, or maybe probably not a pause, but just we tread lightly. It is what it is. But yeah, shout out. So we'll go through and actually see what happens in the game itself, I guess, the next time. And 10 years ago, I'm surprised they didn't franchise this commercial as well. This is like the sinners of commercials. It's like Weapons. I guess there might be a Weapons too already, but this is like there's only one of these commercials. Only one snow day. I guess what happens to YouTube out 2019. They're recommending it back in 2019. I guess it is what it is. But shout out. So Amari Stoudemire, Elena Delle Donne leading the way. Candace Parker as well too. I mean, do we talk about the title run with Chicago that she had at the end of her career here a couple years ago? The that last title run. A little Tim Duncan-esque for sure. But the only reason I say a little is because I feel like she was actually more important offensively in terms of scoring for that Chicago team maybe than Duncan was for the Spurs that specific year that they won the title. I mean, they definitely needed him, but that year as well too. I mean, D.I. was just as important to anybody in terms of how the offense functioned, and they were able, and Danny Green was hitting threes. Kawhi's offense was still continuing to get better at that point. Even in the finals itself, obviously Patty Mills was having a great series. So I guess do we have, and then Mark Few. Do we have just like a full list of names to see what is going on here? A total of 21 people were finalists for the class. Stoudemire, Parker, Delle Donne, Blake Griffin, Kevin Johnson, Buck Williams, Jennifer Azee, Chimike, am I saying the name right? Holdsclaw? Hopefully I said the first name right. Shout out. But I feel like how is she not in the Hall of Fame? Hey, yo, to my knowledge, we're working with the impression that, she's a pioneer of the sport. So, I mean, that's probably totally right as well, too. 3-time All-WNBA scoring champ, 6-time All-Star. I mean, first overall pick in 99, decade-long career as well, too. I mean, multiple MVP finishes as well. So, yeah, I feel like maybe, and again, not to say, I guess the names, like we're saying, Delle Donne and Candace Parker, like, legitimately, like, all-time greats as well, too, but that's a tough one. I mean, does Doc Rivers have to be inducted? I don't know. Molly Bolin, Cam Kasmer were eligible. Oh, wait, so it says Rivers, Few, Gary McKnight, Dick Moda, Jerry Welsh, and Dusan Ikovic were as coaches. Tal Bordy, Mike D'Antoni as contributors. Joey Crawford is a referee. Hey, yo, Joey Crawford. If Joey Crawford gets into a Hall of Fame before Bill Belichick, that's another one. I mean, Joey Crawford is a great ref because, I mean, Joey Crawford's a great ref. He's kind of like us at the restaurant. You're just like, he shows up and I guess he's there all the time. So at some point that means something. Like if you're there and you're doing your job, like, and it's like, wait a second, it's been how many years? Like, you're like, I guess this guy is a Hall of Famer. We got to give it to him. It is what it is. I don't know if we've ever been, and I guess Joey Crawford, again, was like a great ref, but also directly beef with Tim Duncan and has one of the worst technical fouls in NBA history when he was ejected just for laughing at Joey Crawford, or just for laughing in general. just threw him out of the game. But regardless, I guess he'll probably get in at some point as well too, and deserve it. Like we're saying, showing up for work a lot, so got to be there. And at some point for the refs, it's like maybe the ones that was Joey Crawford not on the take, so maybe that is just Hall of Fame eligible as well too. Which ref did not get corrupted by the mob and Now Sports Gambling, or even by the league giving them the script? Hey, yo, which ones have integrity? We'll induct those guys into the Hall of Fame. Bill Kennedy, hey, yo, lock it in. But I guess that's just so we don't have an official class, I guess, or we do and we're just not seeing it, or yeah, I guess we just need to get better at reading. Oh, Tiger Chat, hey, yo, what happened? But yeah, shout out to the Hall of Famers 2026. Should we take a look at that All-American real quick and see what we got going on? The series, hey, yo, no, we need the game for what is happening right now. Let's see what we got going on. Ooh, the 31st. Okay, I guess, do we have like a box score that we can look up? Recruiting, maybe it would be over here. The Savannah Bananas? No, it might not be. Might not be that. Oh, Summer League. No, we don't want Summer League. Bronny, shout out. It is what it is. But is he going to be back, chat? Summer League staple? No, we can't say that. But maybe Bryce this year at Summer League? Maybe Bryce and Bronny. Would LeBron play in Summer League if it was Bryce and Bronny both playing? Why is our fantasy football team being listed over here in the All-American game for basketball? I guess maybe if it was a dynasty basketball team, I guess maybe it's like, do you want to put somebody on the draft list for 2028? But I guess if it's just for the NBA, again, that wouldn't even apply. And that's a redraft league as well too for football, so it wouldn't even matter there. Here we go, 2026, the East roster. Everybody is committed. We're looking for Michigan recruits. It is what it is. Oh, chat. I mean, Dusty May he's transfer portal, right? So all these rookies are just gonna get destroyed by whatever 25-year-old Dusty May gets to transfer in from whatever school. But either way, I did see highlights of Jason Richardson's kid, Jackson Richardson, in the All-American dunk contest. Hey, yo, Tony Bryant. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Shout out. But I thought maybe we did like a halftime performance or something. But nope. Okay. Anyways, Jackson Richardson. So shout out. And I mean, did Jace also the other kid that just went to Michigan State? It looks like Jackson's going to Alabama at least he's committed to Alabama at this time. I mean, we're not going to tell him that Tom Izzo's over at Michigan State. Stay away from the Big Ten. We're not trying to compete. I guess we are. Again, I guess if you want to, play against the grown men, but also. Like we almost got cooked by that Alabama guard in the first half of that last time we played him in the tournament here. So I guess we don't want to get a close call again like that as well. But either way, like I was saying, obviously Jace is a super talented player. Did he end up going in the lottery as well too? But yeah, who knows? Maybe Jackson is the better, I don't know, 17th overall. I guess we're not going to go back and see what Jace was ranked. It doesn't matter. Again, keep working on your game. The Orlando is an actually decent roster for him to be on there as well too. Hey, yo, speaking of the game, the Suns Magic game that we just had on ended. Where did we do with our remote chat? Can you see it over there? Is it behind the computer? It is. Hey, yo, shout out. Okay, let's see what we got going on. We lost our physical remote and we had to unpackage another one. So we put the batteries in that, and it's too powerful. There's literally no spot in the room that it won't work both TVs. Pause. Hey, yo, I just shout out to that remote. Maybe take a couple lessons. But either way, sometimes just like, sometimes I just need to be controlling the one TV. It's like that game's not done yet, but I need to switch over this one. What's happened? So I guess we're going to have to find the other remote. Because that remote is the very, it's on steroids. It is what it is. The Jose controller. I guess I don't know. IT might have to cut that one out. I don't know. Hey, yo, it is what it is. But I guess our options are dwindling down. Pistons, Raptors, getting out of control. Oh, I guess we got Cavs, Lakers. Here we go. Luka versus Harden. Donovan Mitchell versus LeBron, I guess, as they've got it listed here on the league pass. Probably somewhere in the middle. Probably Donovan Mitchell versus Luka. There we go. That's probably the right. Bronny versus versus Larry Nance. I guess there is a kid. A kid. Hey, oh, there's a player's son on the Cavs. LeBron James Jr. versus Larry Nance Jr. The battle of the juniors. But either way, Jackson Richardson, shout out. Definitely, like, hey, might be seeing his name pop up for, March Madness. I'm sure some impact will be had there. Do we have a twin situation here? We have an Adonis Ratliff and a Darius Ratliff. Are they related, chat? This is the one scenario where last name overlap does matter. The All-American games are specific because it is class related as well. So I guess, well, no, because that's the rank. I was going to say that's why Bronny made the All-American. But the recruiting rankings are also class related. So, it doesn't matter that way. But either way, yeah, it looks like we might have a twin situation going to UFC or USC. Hey, no, not UFC, the former football national champions. But yeah, it says 3. I guess it said over here on the article, 3 All-Americans. But you see here, like we're saying, Adonis and Darius Ratliff. And then it looks like also Christian Collins from St. John's Bosco, chat. Hey, yo, powerhouse going to USC there. Oh, here we go. Quinn Costello, center, going to Michigan. Shout out. So the Newman High School, a Massachusetts kid. Hey, yo. Oh, we got him over Michigan State. That's honestly the best part. I mean, hopefully he's a great player, but the fact that he chose the Wolverines over Sparty, chat, success. But what do we got? And then Miami, Texas, Arizona, a couple undecided. I guess was Stokes, and yeah, the number 1 recruit. So I did see, of course, we did see looking at a couple live streams ago that he is a strong consideration for, or strongly considering Kansas. It looked like last time we were on the 24/7 Sports. Bruce Branch. Where's Bruce Branch going? BYU. Oh, Ryan Smith. He's back again. He had Dembasta, and now he's got Bruce Branch. I think I do remember seeing posts about that now that I see that. The Dembasta replacement. And, there is probably something to do to that. I guess here we go. Right here in the article. Quote, Branch will play. Hey, yo, take 2. Quote, Branch will replace Dembasta next season at BYU. He can space the floor and defend multiple positions. Skilled catch and shoot 3-point threat. Made 50% of his series. So maybe a little different than Dembasta. Not to say that for better or worse, but, Dembasta obviously offensive sort of ISO, post-up, mid-range type of guy. Is Branch sort of a movement, creation, perimeter guy. That is, at least a different look for him there. Jordan Smith versus Caleb Holt. And Darian Ripley versus Jason Crow. I guess, we could scout all these guys here and see what's going on. I guess we got a couple minutes before that Lakers-Cavs game fires up. And, after UConn Duke, we're afraid to switch this New York-Houston game. And, New York is known to work their way back for a victory or a close game as well too. If there is a takeaway from this Houston-New York game, I mean, some of the Durant non-Svengoon lineups to look at, I guess, maybe we can look at some of the lineup numbers for Houston at some point. But, and, for the Knicks as well too, this is a little 3-game slide from here. If they lose this one, they lost to our Eastern Conference favorite Hornets and then lost to OKC on Sunday. And now, looking to potentially drop another one to Houston here as well, too. But again, they are a team that will just find themselves down a lot, in games. It'll just all of a sudden be 20-17. And, again, it'll be like the Knicks made an 18-point comeback tonight. But it does seem like they are constantly fighting out of a hole that they dug for themselves. So in the playoffs or, hey, if they make the finals, that would seem like a thing that, may be an issue that they would run into. I don't know. But yeah, either way, I guess let's get maybe get the games situated here. But like we said, we do have a classic album to revisit. So I don't know why we would, wait any longer to queue it up, chat. It is what it is. So, get the speakers ready, get the Spotifys, get the CDs, the vinyls, the VHS tapes. I guess '06, they still had tapes, right? I'm trying to think. We had a car growing up that, you know, like the family had a car that had a VHS player in it. I'm trying to remember if that was a 90s car though, or if that would have been like maybe if I guess if it would have been '06, it would have been probably like new at the time. So it probably would have been a 90s car. So I guess but then again, you know, people still driving 90s cars in '06. It is what it is. People still driving 90s cars now. Shout out to 90s cars. It is what it is. But you know, AO, obviously, like we're saying, T.I. King. 20 years later, it's a classic. We are going to revisit it here, so don't go anywhere, chat. Cue it up. Get it ready. We'll be right back to listen to this great album right after this. All right, chat, here we are, the 20-year anniversary of one of the great albums, one of the great, like we said, pieces of music that has ever been released. And one of also, I mean, obviously, we're going to tend to lean toward the personal favorites of the things that we celebrate. And I mean, like everything, their personal favorites lists can be infinite to some degree. We can debate about what our personal favorite top fives are, but then, as obviously things continue to get dropped, as you continue to discover things that have been previously, again, just old things that maybe you hadn't discovered, or, obviously not old, but maybe intermediately aged things that you haven't discovered before, you're going to continue to evolve and your taste's going to continue to evolve. But I mean, we are really in that list territory tonight for this album. This isn't one of those, extended universe favorites that it's just like, when we discover this, we have our moments with it, oh, we kind of forgot about this, but then recently we discovered it's like, no, this is legitimately up there on favorite albums of all time. And I was trying to think as well too, if we just fire it up and just play it, because we just gotta start listening. It is what it is. But if I'm just trying to be honest, and and sometimes even the albums that you play as well too doesn't always reflect the exact one-to-one like personal favorite list. We've talked about this with movies before, where some movies are, I would say, more like a fine wine type of movie. I mean, am I saying like it ages better over time? Obviously that could be a way to use it, but there is like a special occasion element to a movie sometimes, or maybe a movie is like so powerful in one way or so emotionally whatever in one way that maybe you don't always watch it as many times. Have I seen Soul Plane as many times as I've seen The Dark Knight? The Dark Knight's probably a better movie, but again, it might not always be a movie that you watch all the time. But this movie, or this album, and this album is associated with the movie. ATL, shout out, one of the great movies. But this album, for me anyways, again, personal favorites, but also a great album. But for me anyways, really does check the box of that accessibility of something that, again, I just always have had in rotation, have always been. Like, it's high up on the actual listens, and high up also, like we're saying, on the all-time favorite, if that makes sense. Where a movie, again, obviously an easy go-to for great movies. But a movie like Goodfellas, really does hold up if we're talking about like, hot take and hold up. But if we're talking about like what are the great movies, and if we're really having to make the argument about it, it's like, well, if we really boil it down to like, what do the people actually want to watch? Like, what can you watch the most times, but is also, super critically acclaimed as well too. I mean, we just got a new introduction with that in 2025 when Coogler dropped Sinners. I mean, all of Coogler's movies are incredibly rewatchable and, critically acclaimed as well too. I guess obviously the originality of Sinners is, what continues to separate that amongst, obviously so many other things from, just other movies in movie history and, movies in his own discography as well too. But again, it's that perfect movie of just like, I legitimately do not get tired of watching that movie. I just can constantly throw it on. It's always great. And again, it checks every box in terms of the technical aspects of it are perfect. The writing, the performances, again, just sheer entertainment value and what you see on screen, is able to hold your attention as well too. And, again, this is where we're at with this album, where it's kind of perfect on every level. And I guess, again, for music, that is subjective to some degree. And I think, I guess, again, we could obviously make the list of what I consider perfect. Do we have to define the terms, the Rem and Sam dictionary? What's a great album? What's a perfect album? What's a good album, for when we, so we're not just messing around throwing these words out. But, for accomplishing a full, scope of a music project where you're given the listener different varieties of songs, but also, again, the strength of all of those cuts are going to be great. And his performance on this album as well too is insane as well too, where lyrically T.I., I mean, and again, T.I., again, one of the the legends. I don't think he is underrated. And there was, of course, this whole, as the versus thing has been, heating up a little bit lately, there was like a T.I. 50 Cent online versus that was kind of going around a little bit. And that is one that I'm always kind of, arguing with myself in my mind as well, too. Because, I think 50 does have slightly, if you looked at his career, like a little bit more cultural, do you say punch? A little bit more cultural punch with his, with just his music. And obviously maybe Into Club as a single as well, too, would just probably be the #1 song between the two guys. But I think the albums to me, Get Rich and Die Trying and King, are very similar albums in the way that they sound, which is like, I guess you could say, argue good or bad there. But just sort of and I guess maybe not totally similar in sounds, because this is a little bit more triumphant. Obviously, the production on Get Rich Die Trying maybe leans a little bit more, gangster menacing style production, but there is just there is a sound of that early 2000s type of instrumentation that they are using that is similar crossover there. And also those guys as well too, maybe not always focusing on, being like Nas or Jay-Z and getting thrown into those types of lyrical categories, or, Biggie or Pac or whatever, Andre 3000. You would probably never say that T.I. is a lyricist in the way that like Andre 3K is. And again, maybe just in terms of subject matter, but I think he does get a little underrated in that aspect as well too. And again, this project and all of his projects have been really great at world building and communicating sort of a mindset of a given moment in time. And of course, early parts of his discography. And I mean, any sort of rapper is going to have those moments where early in the career, it's the rise as the rapper and the sort of underdog mentality that they have. Hey, yo, J. Cole, are we looking at you? But, as they ascend, obviously, and, hey, yo, where T.I.'s at in this album, where he is a little bit more, obviously, on top of the game at this point and approaching it from that mindset. And again, obviously, the anthemic production as well, too, does really complement that amazingly. But he does just have a very vivid way, and obviously 50 as well too, a very vivid way to paint their pictures on the lyrics, where they just build these incredible worlds and give you these incredible moments of life that they've had. And again, I feel like for what T.I. does in terms of cadences, I think he might get 50 there. And 50 has obviously been great at like hooks and, catchy flows over the course of his career as well too. So I'm not saying that he is, he's weak in that category or that's a low rating, but just some of the rhythms that T.I., some of the, the pockets that I'll find in these tracks are just super fun and super hypnotizing. And he also as well too, structures really great, really catchy hooks on this album. I mean, does this album, of course, drop afterwards? So there is that precedent of people, building obviously on any of the projects that are dropped for them, even if, obviously 50 Cent is, New York and even, aligning with like, what do you say, Eminem and, some Midwest association there as well too. We're just trying to claim 50 from the Midwest is really what it is. But, and, I guess even West Coast, just 50 is obviously nationwide beloved. It is what it is. But I guess, again, the point is this album to me is perfect in those ways like an album like that is. And it's every bit as re-listenable. And, obviously there are going to be those underrated, this album's not underrated, it's commercially successful back in the day. But just in terms of what people are listening to now, there are going to be those albums that aren't getting the streams as other albums, and you could debate the quality there. And I'm not saying that, Get Rich Die Trying doesn't deserve the streams. It's obviously one of the great albums of all time. But I do wonder, again, an album like that, and, again, maybe just people just streaming Into Club, and that is running up the numbers. But an album like that, where people clearly, the sound of that album is just perfect for now, as it was back then. And I think the same holds true for the 2006 drop here with T.I., where the sound is perfect and, makes great aux music, great car music, great gym music. I mean, this to me might be the #1 gym album that I've played, just in general. And again, that goes to, like I'm saying, that accessibility of the album, but also just the perfection of the album as well too, where there really isn't a weakness. I mean, I was reading something about one of the reviews. I was reading one of the reviews of this album on somebody's list, and they were like, "Hey, yo, if this was like a couple tracks shorter, would it be like actually a perfect album?" And I mean, I was like trying to like go through and be like, which track would I cut out? I guess, maybe we could just like look at the streams, which ones are the lowest streamed tracks. I don't know. But I genuinely don't think that there is a weak track on this album. Maybe are there a couple that like are in the same style, I guess? Maybe. But again, for the most part, this is a perfect track list as well too. And again, just this whole T.I. run as well too, where this also starts his Grammy era. If I'm not mistaken, this is his first one that would get nominated in that category, because he is a 3-time Grammy nominated artist. And again, that's not a perfect way to categorize everybody in hip hop, because obviously, it started a little bit more in the 2000s, so some of the 90s guys don't have the numbers and the legacy in that way that maybe we would use if you were using that in an argument. But regardless of the guys that the Grammy era would apply to, he is one of the more nominated rappers for sure. And again, I don't know if he necessarily gets brought up that way as well too. Let's see here. What are we looking for? Grammy Awards on his page. I want to find the list of guys that have been nominated as many times as him. And again, we maybe get this in sports as well too, where obviously the younger guy, as the career is happening and you're kind of projecting the career out, you can go, oh, he's obviously going to overtake this guy, and maybe the legends can kind of fall down the ranking that way. Again, J. Cole, are we looking at you? Like, I'm trying to think, would J. Cole have been a guy where if you go an album for album, or just like, J. Cole is more lyrically gifted than T.I.? And I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not. Obviously what he, like the best verses that J. Cole has ever dropped in his career, like he does, like he just has a really, really special written, and I'm not, I guess, how do I phrase it? Obviously he could freestyle, not trying to downgrade any other part of his career, but, the way, and he does have a freestyle nature to the way that he sounds as well. But obviously, when again he's really in his bag lyrically, I mean, it's not a bad thing to say that you can tell that he's really worked on a verse. But again, and to T.I.'s, I'm gonna say this to T.I.'s credit, like he has, I guess, how do I say this to T.I.'s credit? He has the feeling where he hasn't worked on a verse, and again, there's just like a carefree nature to his songs, where again he can catch a rhythm and give you a couple of bars that are just going to be, give you a whole verse, give you whatever, pause, that is going to be just as good as any rapper out there. But again, there's just going to be an ease on the track that he has as well. I guess on the Grammy page that I'm looking at here, it's got a picture of Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, obviously, one of the great freestylers for sure. But I guess I guess maybe he's one that's like never written anything down as well too. I guess because like Jay-Z has never written anything down, but he also does, his does seem written as well too. But like Nas, obviously, Cole modeling a lot of stuff after Nas and Jay-Z, but Nas seems like a guy that has got a lot of notebooks for lyrics as well too. I guess Kendrick does in a way, like we're saying, Andre 3K. But again, maybe T.I. you wouldn't necessarily like picture the notebooks for the career. So again, I guess you're just like, if you're painting the picture, you're maybe looking at the careers going, is all time, is J. Cole gonna move? And I guess, again, that's just a one name we're throwing out there. Hey, not to downgrade anybody else's career. We love this album, so we've taken down J. Cole, pause. We've taken out 50 Cent. What other artists do we love that we can, try to use over T.I.? And I guess Might Delete Later did move J. Cole over T.I. Okay, because he does have the Dreamville nom as well too, with Revenge of the Dreamers, the third album getting Grammy nom. I mean, totally deserved. It's a great album. And J. Cole definitely should get credit for that in some way as well, too. And speaking of, sneaky guys that are all-time nominated, Lupe Fiasco, he did also drop an album this year as well, too. Is that Food and Liquor? Hey, yo, we need to be more up on his discography as well. Speaking of guys that write, shout out, Lupe Fiasco, one of the greats. Yeah, Food and Liquor. The debut was '06. So, if you're talking about '06 albums, it's a really great year. Also, Hell Hath No Fury dropped that year. And there is another one that I was going back and looking at that was crazy that dropped that year. Here, let me see if I can pull that list back up that I was looking at here. I mean, those three alone, again, really give me an all-time status. I know that, again, maybe for me, I wouldn't replay, the Lupe Fiasco album as much as T.I. And, again, to be honest, up until recently, we wouldn't have gone back to Hell Hath No Fury as well, too. I mean, again, like I'm a defender of It's Almost Dry for Pusha T. I mean, Daytona's great. I mean, Pusha T's solo catalog after that stuff has been great. So, we've honestly, I should say, not obviously, but we've honestly, just listened to more of that than some of the Clips stuff. But now with this last Clips album, going back into the discography, we've definitely had that album in rotation more. And then Idlewild, I guess, 2006. Let me see. What was the other great 2006 album that I was looking at here? Was there a Carter that dropped in '06? Ooh, let me see here, chat. This is bad research. It is what it is. Oh, Fish Scale! That's what it is. Fish Scale. I have double checked the release year here on Fish Scale. '06, it is. It is. Okay, so you could also, I guess, include that as well too. It is. It is a project that we would not have revisited a lot for Ghostface Killah. I mean, shout out one of the prolific album droppers that we have. So, there's a lot of Ghostface projects out there, and Iron Man's great, Supreme Clientele's great. I guess between those two, and then there's another one that the Pretty Tony album. Shout out, I'd be bumping the Pretty Tony album. So maybe we need to get Fish Scale, more Fish. Hey yo. More Fish, also 2006. When was that one dropped? I guess after. They have it listed before, but I'm gonna say it would seem like with the titles that this would be after. So yeah, December 12th, 2006. I guess More Fish. Oh, it did receive generally positive reviews. Okay, we need to go back and listen to this one as well too. Pitchfork 7.3. Hey yo. So wait, what did Fish Scale get from Pitchfork for a 9.0? Oh, it's almost a perfect album. Okay, Lupe Fiasco, he has got, let's see if we can get a Pitchfork ranking here, if this is how I guess we can determine 2006. That's going to be tough for Hell Hath No Fury to beat. I mean, that could be like an 8.5. Just again, that, that's still like pretty great for that publication there. Obviously to hand out, I guess, awards. They don't necessarily have like a chart or a list. Maybe we could go accolades. So maybe, I don't know. I'm assuming that Food and Liquor does have a Pitchfork review. Let's see what we've got here. Or maybe like an after one. Okay, September 2006. Here we go. Reader score. No reader score yet? Oh, chat, they haven't done it. Pause. Hey, yo. So we can be the first to score this album, I guess? Is potentially what's going on? Do we have to pay now? Is this behind a paywall to see the Pitchfork score? I feel like it's blurred out. Hey, yo. Reader reviews 0 for 1. So no Pitchfork score, I guess. Somebody gave it an 8, though, 3 months ago. Shout out. So, it's still holding up. Food and Liquor 2? What did Food and Liquor 2? Oh, here we go. Oh, I'm a Great American Rap Part 1. I guess no score for that one as well, too. But yeah, here, let's see what Hell Hath No Fury had. Because that is going to be a tough one in terms of the all-time status to argue King over. I mean, just because it's a tough argument doesn't mean it can't go past 7 games with Hell Hath No Fury. Like, that can definitely be a realistic matchup. Oh, a 9.1. It did overtake it. Wow. That's crazy. So, oh, chat, living this guy. That's right. We got Jamie Foxx on this album. I mean, is Jamie Foxx on the Clips album? Do we have to double check the features for this? Let me see. Jamie Foxx is not on it, but I guess it did have Pharrell, Slim Thug, Liva, Re-Up Gang, and then Bilal and Pharrell, and then Roscoe P. Cold Chain on Chinese New Year. So yeah, no Jamie Foxx. Hey yo, one of the great features, one of the great R&B features in hip hop in the 2000s. You know, changed my mind. It is what it is. So wait, let's double check the King. What was in the King Pitchfork score as well here to see what we're competing with from that. 8.4. So it's close. It's close. That is in a 7-game series. I guess a 9.1 does seem to be, a good favorite there for sure. But an 8.4 versus a 9.1 in a 1-game scenario, I think you can see that happening. And again, in a 7-game series, the right matchup, I think the right 8.4 can match up against the right 9.3. And I think it has to be an 8.4 like this, where it's sort of, again, mostly like, pause, banger type tracks. Where if we were going for like an underground lyrical cut of some kind, maybe again, it wouldn't hold the listener's attention the way that Hell Hath No Fury had. And like we've said before, to me anyways, the way that Pharrell was able to update the sound for some reason made the old sound more palatable. I don't even know why, but maybe it's just, again, just so sort of just undenying ourselves. Is that even the right way to use it? Just admitting to yourselves the greatness of the project as well too. Just kind of submitting to the project. Pause. Again, for the movie angle as well too. You have to sometimes just be willing to give yourself to the movie plot or whatever is happening there. But again, if it's just like I'm willing to sort of commit to the funkiness of this Pharrell production, the minimalism that is happening here, then obviously it is peak for what that type of production is. But again, the complete opposite of that would definitely be this King album for sure. Very anthemic, very complete, very maximalist type production. I mean, in terms of the way the albums were produced as well too, I'm guessing, do we go back to Hell Hath No Fury? Was it as solo produced as this last album was, but Pharrell was the main guy leading the production here. Yeah, just the Neptunes on production for that last album. Here, let's check as well too the last album that they dropped, if there was any other producers sneaking on there. No, just Pharrell. I was like, did Stove God Cooks get like a production credit on that one track? But he's just a feature. So yeah, just Pharrell. Is no other Neptune as well involved, and no other Neptune was involved in the production of this album. But there we go. Is that Pharrell's new drop? I don't know. But what are you saying? Hell Hath No Fear. I guess, and the commercial success of King is maybe an argument as well too. But I think what that would, I think, again, not to say that if Pharrell didn't drop this album, that this album wouldn't be great. Again, that's just our weird take on what we were listening to this album. But, and then, oh yeah, Lord Willin' as well too. That's got Grindin' on it. I guess that one's even more minimalist than Hell Hath No Fury as well. But what are you saying? I think that, yeah, I think T.I.'s album is just a little bit more accessible now. Like if you had to just give that to the random listener or the random hip hop listener that either didn't hear it or knew that they were listening to, I think that they would just gravitate toward King. I mean, again, speaking of King, Pharrell is the king of this stuff. So, our experiment could go totally wrong, and people keep playing this Pharrell beat. It's like, no, Pharrell's one of the great producers. All these songs are catchy. Like, what's happening? We're like, no, actually, King, T.I. Like, T.I.'s the best. But, yeah, I think that in terms of the year, and this is just as defining as all of these albums. And, again, I think Food and Liquor, the thoughts and messages provided on Food and Liquor, I'm sure are just as, poignant to today as they were back then. And that does have some hits on it as well too. I need to, again, not knowing Lupe's discography that well, I need to, remember what what songs are off of what albums here. Because I know we do have the songs, obviously some of the hits, saved into the playlist. So yeah, Kick Push off of this album, I Got You Daydreamin' are the singles. Let me see, track list. Is there anything else that I'm thinking of? Where is Superstar at, chat? Hey, yo, is that Lupe Fiasco? What is the other major Lupe Fiasco single that I'm thinking of? Lupe Fiasco's Gold. Okay, yeah, Superstar, Paris, Tokyo. Okay, I'm maybe also thinking of that one. And then Lasers, the third. Oh, The Show Goes On. That's definitely what I'm thinking of. That's the big radio song for Lupe Fiasco there. So I guess, yeah, that would have been after the next two. So again, maybe Food and Kick Push is obviously iconic. But I do think that at least now, and again, is it the basic, you say the quote unquote, the basic radio play of those two songs? But either way, and I guess we could double check the numbers. But I feel like just for me, I've heard those two songs on more than Kick Push. Just in environments where we're not controlling aux situations. And again, if those were in the environments, we might have just unfortunately ended up forgetting Lupe altogether. We're bad fans in that way. Hey, yo. It is what it is. See, we're calling ourselves out. It's not a disrespect to Lupe Fiasco. We're calling ourselves out. It is what it is. But yeah, either way, I would say that his album more accessible lyrically than to Lupe Fiasco's, and more accessible production-wise than the Clips. Again, we're talking about minimal differences here, but I think you could definitely make the case either way for that to be true as well. So wait here, let me go back to that list as well too of the Grammy guys that had more than T.I. because I do remember Missy Elliott also appearing. And then, yeah, what do we say? Lupe Fiasco? I mean, not to disrespect the list, but again, if we had to make some adjustments to, add our own flair to the list, we might be making a little swap in the ranking. Lupe for T.I. I guess the three, do we go 2 nominations? You got, like, Travis. I guess you do have Pac with 2, because All Eyes on Me and Me Against the World would have both gotten nominated. But again, that doesn't necessarily totally go for the whole scope of the career. And I'm sure some of the songs and stuff, would have been, more nominated throughout as well too. And, obviously him around making music, recipes would have been different as well too. Schoolboy Q with 2. And again, you got like Outkast with 2 nominations. Like Outkast has got like 5 classic albums, but 2 Grammy nominations. That's not necessarily, perfect. But, and, obviously Outkast is like the, do you say the Yoda of Southern hip hop? Obviously they're the number 1 legacy guys, but again, I would say I listen to more T.I. than Outkast. So now I'm just talking about, again, I'm just talking about my playlist at this point. But I don't know, T.I.'s 4 best albums, just in terms of the production, playing it randomly. Again, the hits from Outkast are going to be as good as any hits, but the entirety of the albums, and it's a credit to Outkast that they're able to hold your attention with the weird production that they had. I mean, it's the reason that they were, the uniqueness of their music is the reason that it, one of the reasons that it's so popular. But also, again, T.I.'s music, it just makes more sense. I don't know. It is what it is. Maybe we need to work that thought out a little bit better before we start arguing. Outkast might be too much. I don't know. It is what it is to argue against. Also, Lil Wayne with 2 nominations, Dr. Dre, again, how do you make the argument's different with him as a producer versus, are you ranking it like coaches and players, or are we just ranking players? Like, how's the list being made? Hey, yo, chat, what do we got with this? Why You Wanna? Hey, yo, this has got to be top 3 or 4 off the album for us. Do we go like a Mount Rushmore off of the album? I mean, and, again, you just keep playing an album, you keep having different songs pop up as well too, so it's just in the moment for what we've been playing, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna be just listening to I'm Straight for a while, then I'm Stand Up Guy, and now we're I'm Talking to You. And I mean, why you wanna Chad, is that number 1? I don't know. It's just such a vibe. It's such a vibe, and there is like a cruising element to that song as well too. Is this the song that can be played in the most hours of the day off the T.I. track list? I don't know. It's a top one. That's for sure. Pause. The only thing that would make it better would be a Jamie Foxx feature, maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah, either way. Again, maybe Wayne versus Ti is definitely an interesting argument. I mean, Wayne's got such a, such a great body of work, and is obviously again such a gifted talent. Like he's like Wayne is like Kyrie. Like he's like all the players love Kyrie. He's like clearly one of the most talented to ever do it. But I don't know if that quite equivalates to his spot on the all-time list. Again, if we were ranking the most talented basketball players to ever play, we're really getting to Kyrie pretty quick. The most skilled, however you want to, phrase it to get Kyrie highest up on the list. Most conspiratorial or whatever. But either way, if it was like the most talented, I guess freestylers, the most gifted rapper bars guys, like hey yo, then obviously Wayne's gonna be way up on the list. But I don't know, Ti's craftsmanship with some albums and his ability to obviously maybe get a little R&B-ish, slow it down a little bit at times. Like I don't think Wayne could quite get into the singing mode, the smooth mode that Ti can get into. You also have like Nelly with 3 Grammy nominations, which would be in the same category as Ti. The 3 nomination guys are Ludacris, Nelly, Ti, and Pusha T, who has 1 with the Clips, but 2 solo. And I guess, like we're saying, more classics with the Clips there that wouldn't even, be included in the Grammys, because that's just this one that they just dropped recently. So that means Hell Hath No Fury didn't get nominated? Hey, yo. Let's go back and check that real quick. I guess Late Reg, B, The Cookbook, Encore, Massacre. And then, yeah, Kick Pushing King. And then Release Therapy. So that would have been, that was also 06. And then Game Theory by The Roots. In My Mind by Pharrell. I guess, yeah, The Roots, like we're saying, The Roots are obviously are they better album makers than T.I.? They're doing a different thing than T.I. is as well, too. So I don't know if we're necessarily listening to Game Theory in the gym, but again, obviously we could argue it there. And Release Therapy winning for Ludacris as well, too. Do we go back to that one? Obviously, Word of Mouth is iconic for Ludacris. So, do we just get stuck on that project there? Can definitely kind of happen. But yeah, I guess, the Clips albums got left off there early in their run. So a little surprised that was their first time. Pause. But hey, yo, the Clips, their first time this past year. It happens, chat. Hey, yo, some people, it just is what it is. Tyler is sitting at 4 right now. So Cole, Lupe, Missy, and Tyler at 4. And Tyler does, again, have a great scope, obviously, artistically, where he can make any, and he, as a producer as well, too. I mean, I guess Cole has that skill set in his bag that would help, I guess, his case in totality, however you want to phrase it that way. But Tyler can obviously make any type of song, Ox Banger. He can make his most popular song, See You Again, maybe. So he can make those melodic type of tracks as well, too. He might be one. And Tyler, again, Tyler over Cole at this point, I don't know. That's a tough debate that I don't know if we're ready to have that one as well, too. The Roots, Common, and Kendrick all have 5. So Common versus T.I.? Ooh, chat, Common. Are we jumping, how strong is 5 Grammy nominations on this list? You have Jay-Z, obviously, with 11, Ye and Eminem with 8, and then Nas and Drake with 7. I think that, Kendrick, Nas, Drake, Jay, Eminem, obviously some of the... There is a definite top tier. Again, we'll bring in, obviously, we're not looking at the Grammys, if we're bringing in Big and Nas at that point, or, Dre for the all-time stuff. Do you have to start saying Ice Cube as well, too? Obviously, you don't have to. You get to say Ice Cube. You had a great career. Shout out. So Ice Cube over T.I. all-time. But I think T.I. is, again, like all-time top 20 career for a rapper. And, you could phrase the list, again, however you do. Top lyrical ability, top career, combine the lyrical ability with the career and try to make the list, your own way. But I just, like we're saying, the scope of the commercial success, the impact that he had as well, too, because, I mean, he's just as impactful as any of these guys that have been. I mean, anybody that is popular to some degree is going to be influential. Like bringing back Tyler as well. You know, the thing about T.I.'s influence is it defined like a region of music in a way. And I don't know if Tyler necessarily like redefined West Coast music. Maybe he did, and just again, it's not necessarily getting the credit that he deserves. But in terms of conversation, it doesn't seem like that is, you know, again, the prevailing thing. But I think Tyler as an influence is just, it is going to be as well too as artists continue to emerge. But I mean, you know, shout out to Doechii as well too. I'm not saying, you know, oh, Doechii's copying Tyler or anything. I'm just saying that, you know, you see there are times where there's like a little lyrical cadence or something, or an aggression style that she'll attack a bar with, and it's like, oh, there is a little bit, there's like some Tyler influence there. And again, that's a great thing to see those people move into that legendary status and get that influence. I forget, I was just listening to some, you know, again, and obviously Cole and Hove is like, you know, there's a connection there, you know, for better or worse. But you know, I was listening to something off the Blueprint, and maybe it was off of You Don't Know, but because we were just running that song on repeat. But then it was like, okay, I guess we'll listen to the rest of the album as well too. But there was one part that he caught, and I was like, oh, like did Cole motto like his whole career after that cadence that Hove just had? Like, I feel like I've heard, you know, J. Cole kind of catch that pocket before. But again, that could be a good thing. So again, I think Tyler, it's a little bit of a different impact. It might be, you know, again, in, you know, artist to artist type of a thing more so than, you know, what a region is going to pursue as a sound, if that makes sense. But you know, again, for T.I., I mean, he really was obviously a pioneer of that trap music in the South. And you know, what were the kids listening to back then? But you know, obviously, and it was before this album as well too, where he was making those waves and making this impact. But with what he was able to again accomplish with the sound of this album, to me, is the one that I would go to back to his discography more. I mean, the soulful elements on trap music are great as well too. I would say that those are the two projects again that I would, you know, spend the most time with T.I. In his discography for sure. Obviously, Paper Trail has got the ain't no one on the corner got swagger like us, swagger like us. I think that one is on Paper Trail. So that honestly might be, again, if I'm just talking about songs that we've heard out, that might be the number one T.I. song that we've heard out. And when we were doing our 25th Century playlist, that honestly, that is another sneaky one as well too. And I mean, that goes to, you know, obviously how powerful Kanye's production was in the era that we were growing up listening to music. So, you know, how many, you know, big hits that he produced, not even just from his own discography, but that one specifically was pretty crazy. I guess that was after T.I. versus Tip. So that was 07, and then Paper Trail was 08. So Whatever You Like is also on that as well too. Yeah, this is a crazy album again in terms of listening to those hits, because I would say in the Midwest, you know, in Midwestern functions, they were not playing songs off of King, or, you know, I guess any other T.I. album. It would have just been Paper Trail. It is what it is. It's just those two songs that were getting played here in the Midwest. Again, for the people that had the aux, or whoever, you know, was whatever radio station was playing at whatever place we were at. I don't know, but yeah. Oh, and it says here, actually, speaking of the notes chat, Ayo, Paper Trail, he literally, I guess, called it Paper Trail because this is, unlike his past albums, he wrote the lyrics down on paper. So again, it didn't necessarily like hurt his career in a way, because he was still, obviously, the commercial success was there, but still, you know, again, the lyrical potency was still there as well too. His capabilities on the tracks were definitely not weak, but still, he obviously, you know, needed to switch it up, needed to, you know, find a different rhythm. And it's the reasons that the legends are able to continue to have the careers that they do have is because, you know, they need to find the different ways to continue to push their game forward or continue to mix it up. And again, for T.I., you know, it might just be as simple as him like, hey, I'm gonna write these lyrics down, but it's still a new approach to an album that he was able to have. And again, some of the production stuff on there too is different as well. But I would say again, sonically, like the anthemic vibes that he's chasing on that, like is kind of all here in King as well too. I actually think, and again, I just love Ti. So you get to a point with the Legends where it's like the albums that maybe don't have the cultural impact later in the career, like the true fans are bumping those albums. And again, I don't even know if we do the Spotify Wrapped if I'm sitting here saying I'm in the 1% Ti fans. But again, I may be more willing to check out his later work, because there are definitely some songs here from the 20 teens that are the later teens that are in the playlist for sure. I mean, Ayo, Dime Trap's a good album. It is what it is. His 10th album, 2018, there are some banger songs on here. Wraith, I mean, Wraith is just as good of a Ti song as any other song, but again, that's definitely a much more modern trap beat than what he was obviously, producing earlier in his career. But so, he still is able to continue to modify the production and, take it in different ways even throughout. And yeah, obviously he's teasing the retirement album as well too, Kill the King. So, Ayo, definitely going to be locked in for when we start knowing for certain when that one is going to be, in the works to being dropped. But this, again, like we're saying, is either way the apex mountain for his career for us, and is still the one that I think from the early run does get a little bit, again, underrated in terms of the legacy stuff as well. And that's, when it's the earlier stuff being the first and the way that it sets the wave there, it's definitely going to be a little bit different in terms of how it gets regarded. But when we're just, kind of going back to the discography, not really knowing anything, or not say that not really knowing anything, but, not being like in the moment connected with the music and just listening to it, as we're saying, fans of the songs, going back, pause, then, this is the one that has continued to captivate in the rotation, and definitely was, again, the one that, locked in Ti for us as one of the top tier artists for sure that we go back to. But this might honestly be, going back to what I was saying earlier about albums that we play the most, this could genuinely be my second most played album of all time. Like, I think, shout out Kendrick, it is what it is. There's always going to be that Good Kid, Mad City love. It's definitely going to be difficult to unseat that from number one, and just obviously the totality of what that project accomplishes emotionally is difficult for, any project in general for it to accomplish. It just really is a great full scope. I'm going to use the word entertainment. Obviously it's more than that, but it's a great full art, I guess, if you want to throw that out there, not throw it out there, but if you want to refer to it as that, it's obviously appropriate. It just really is a great complete work of art in every way. And obviously, again, in Sinners, that Sinners model is that just absolute perfect balance of depth and, again, entertainment value as well. And this King might honestly be the Goodfellas in that situation where it is a little bit, not to say lighter in terms of the topics, like obviously, the drug trade, the mafia, the government stuff that's going on there. Like there is definitely, grandiose topics involved, but there is, again, something to the intimate storytelling of Sinners that really does make the connection in that movie hit a little bit harder, where again, you feel really connected to the characters in Goodfellas, obviously. And, there are those little moments like in the kitchen scene and stuff where, there is that intimate family, personal environment stuff that you're getting with the characters. But again, for the scale of the movie, in the emotional sense, it is a little bit grander. And I think that King definitely does, for a lot of it, stay that way. And again, for Good Kid, Mad City, it's obviously, just to, like we're saying, weaving it out of the place and, for the best reasons. But just for replay value, this is up there as well too. Again, would I sit here and confidently say that it's my second favorite album of all time? You know, again, if we were doing an all-time rankings, am I saying that it's a better album of all time than like Illmatic? Like, hey, yeah, like you know, we can sit here and do the version of the ranking. You know, what are the 15 albums that everybody debates? You know, we'll rank them just like everybody else does. But if we're being honest about the albums that we listen to and about what would be, you know, buys for our rotation, how do you rank music by what you're listening to? Then I guess King by T.I. has got to be way up there. And again, it's just like just because I guess I've grown up now, like, is there actually, it's like, okay, would I take like a JID album over King by T.I.? But again, I legitimately wouldn't. Like, not to say that, you know, you have to fake your fandom of the older albums, but, you know, again, obviously you just like, it's like, okay, if I had to pick one album, would I prefer to have a little bit of like a different style of trap production? Like, am I taking Future versus, you know, some older, you know, again, if it's like Aquemini versus DS2, like, you know, obviously would I guess, is there somebody that would rank DS2 over Aquemini? I don't know. But, you know, for the most part, I think we're ranking Aquemini over DS2. But it's like, okay, if I had to take one vinyl, like, would I take DS2? Like, could I just listen to that one more? You know, I guess, is that the perfect example? You know, I'm just trying to throw out, again, like that, obviously that fun album versus maybe a little bit more of like an artsy album type of an argument. But this is, but again, this, you know, not to say that we would fake a love for like for an artsy album, or, you know, the replay value that it would have, or an album that maybe doesn't have like the same type of aux play value. You know, speaking of aux play, the king of controversial aux play, Freddie Gibbs, you know, like an album like Pinata maybe doesn't have the emotional highs of an album like King, but it's still, the quality of production is there. The replay value of that album is great. I mean, could I sit here and confidently say, I guess maybe, I don't know, King over Pinata? See, that's like an impossible DVD choice, or a DVD choice. An impossible vinyl choice. That would be one where, I guess if you had to buy one, I think I would buy King first. I'd probably buy King first and then go back, you know, as soon as we can go back to get Pinata, and then get Pinata, maybe back later that afternoon. But it's two separate purchases. That's smart budgeting, right? As long as it's two separate purchases, it's not the same amount of money. But yeah, I think I might buy King first. I don't know. Like, I guess like the 50 Cent stuff. Would I take King over Get Rich Die Trying? Like I said, I listened to it more, so maybe so. I don't know. Maybe I guess hot take. I guess now let me throw on Get Rich Die Trying in the gym a couple more times and just give it a spin, just to double check, you know. But again, I think for me, and now we're getting into the real, like, you know, the real biased, what are you listening to? But if we check the numbers, if I'm in the gym, I might throw on The Massacre over Get Rich Die Trying. If I'm being honest, again, it's just me. I'm not saying I'm ranking it higher. I'm not saying that I think it's the better album. For some reason, I just, you know, it is what it is. I like listening to it. So I might, you know, if that's the case, I'm throwing it on. In the gym is one of those places as well, too, where you're like, okay, I'm just going to really, I don't want to think about it sometimes. So I'm really going to make sure to pick something that I know I'm comfortable with in that way. Or, you know, it can also be a great place to listen to new music, but there is that commitment as well, too, to be like, I'm just going to, you know, check out what this album is. And, you know, if the album doesn't hit, then make no mistake, I guess I'll just throw on King by T.I. That's literally what this album is. If I don't know when I'm going to play in the gym that day, it's King by T.I. Or if the new music, that's just, it's like, you know, I think we've heard enough. You know, then I guess I just have time to play King by T.I. For the rest of this workout. So, you know, again, definitely takes the crown in that way there. Number one gym album of all time. That can definitely be personal. And, you know, we're leaving out rock music as well, too, because I think that is definitely a whole category of workout music as well. Again, it really just depends. I mean, you can work out to anything. Of course, a hot take from the Remington Pod. You can work out to anything. But I think we're more open-minded to that than your average person. You know, your average person might categorize, and I guess we're about to do it here, categorize gym music as like a certain sound. But it's like, hey, again, anything. If you wanna run on the treadmill to Ethel Cain, if that's what's gonna power you through a workout, then by all means, Ethel Cain is gym music. It is what it is. But I guess in the traditional sense of the word, I don't know. But let's see if we can get, I don't know how many, 26, 2026. What are the 26 best albums, best gym albums of all time? Thriller. So yeah, you get like a dance album like that. Like, are you not gonna have a good workout to Off the Wall or Bad? Bye. Honestly, Bad as a workout album, is that the best Michael Jackson workout of the three there? I don't know. Again, like Thriller, like you're obviously gonna have a great workout. It is what it is. The peaks of that album. You might not work out. You might just start dancing around. That might be too contagious, honestly. So I guess, again, are we making the case against T.I. now? T.I.'s album's not contagious enough to make us dance. It is what it is. But that's, Thriller is on a different tier of album than most albums ever. It is what it is. But what are the 26 best gym albums of all time? I mean, and like the athletes have talked about as well too. I don't know how, like guys like Beethoven dropped music back in the day, but athletes talk about like listening to classical music. So maybe there's like a symphony on this list. It is what it is. But the S tier, oh, chat, no skips, pure fuel. I mean, all these are going to be no skips. This is, okay, best 26 gym albums according to ChatGPT. I don't know if we trust it for research purposes, but speaking of Get Rich Die Trying, it's number one. I mean, it's obviously, it is what it is. We're not arguing against it. We're just talking about, we're just defending our Spotify stats. I guess it is what it is. The Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem. I mean, that's going to definitely get you in a mindset for sure. I do think that the mindset, maybe the positive mindset that T.I. puts a fan in versus the Marshall Mathers LP might be good, but obviously there are slaps on the Marshall Mathers LP as well too. But Kendrick Lamar, you've got Damn by Kendrick is definitely there. Again, you can obviously listen to any Kendrick, and GNX is definitely gonna be making a strong push as well too as the number one Kendrick gym album. I mean, there is a little bit more runtime with Damn, so you do have maybe a little bit, you don't have to run back some of the songs in a workout. Like, do you have to listen to GNX sometimes, maybe 1.5 times? I don't know. Again, that's not a bad thing as well too. It's a skipless album as well. As Kendrick Lamar, obviously, go through what are the skips. It is great. I mean, you could listen to Section 80 at the gym if you wanted to. But I do think that GNX now might be the one that gets the label for Kendrick. But again, King over GNX? Hey, yo. Then Graduation by Ye. Again, we're talking all time. Is Graduation by Ye, Get Rich Die Trying? They don't qualify because they're in the all-time list anyways. Just the all-time rotation list. Like 2001 by Dr. It's like, you're just listening to it all day. So I guess it's on while you're at the gym. But, and then Astro World by Travis Scott gets number 5. So, hey, yo, obviously, I guess people are bumping Travis Scott more now than T.I. I don't know, still all time, maybe T.I.'s got more listens than Travis Scott. But Astroworld, again, skip list for sure, definitely keeps high energy the whole time. You're getting beat switches and stuff so that some of the modern elements of production are definitely, enhanced for this versus what King is able to provide. But I don't know, I do like some of the horns and stuff on King, but again, it's just like, do you just like maybe the how hard the kicks hit in 2018 versus like what do kicks sound like in 2018 versus 2006? But in some ways, sometimes some of the 90s stuff is more powerful than the modern stuff. But as a top 5, again, you're not going to argue against this. I think Get Rich Die Trying, Graduation is pretty strong. I think Marshall Mathers, again, as an album for sure, definitely people are still bumping it. And I'm sure it's like real Slim Shady on this one. Hey, yo, if we have to ask, then, we're exposing ourselves as Eminem fans. It is what it is. You caught us. We listen to more T.I. than Eminem. It is what it is. But, yeah, again, I'm sure there's individual songs that'll get you through a good workout. But I think King versus Marshall Mathers LP is a pretty fair argument. And again, like, you do have Luther on GNX, you do have Gloria on GNX, so Kendrick's always is going to give you some cuts, both aux bangers, and he's going to give you some slow tracks. Again, you do have on this album songs like Pride and Love that are going to be a little bit slower. Not to say that that's going to throw your momentum off in a workout, but even in the slower tracks with T.I., I think they're able to cruise you through a workout a little bit better. I don't know. It is what it is. Now we're really just making the case. DS2, for sure. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Now, again, not wrong. There is some rock influence there. So if rock albums do need to be brought up in the best gym music Hall of Fame. Here, I guess I'll unmute the screen. There we go. There's a list. Yeah, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. But I feel like that might go into like stadium music. I guess you could say a little bit of that with Graduation. The songs are too popular to play. These songs aren't in the headphones. This is like the music that's playing over the speaker at the gym. Like it's actually in that category. Again, maybe Astroworld's in that category as well too. I guess, so is Get Rich Die Trying as well. But I don't know if My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I guess again, if we're trying to move T.I. up the list, maybe we can take that one off of the gym album ranking. Not saying it's not an album that doesn't apply for the gym, but it just the Devil in a New Dress and Runaway section of that album is so strong as well too that it can almost work as both like a luxury laid back type of album if you want to define it by that, or again the anthemic strong beats on that as well too. But I think I would probably recommend King versus, but again, it's like the A side of that is gonna carry you through. It is what it is. Culture by the Migos. Ooh, that might be one, chat. That might be one where, again, if you're talking about, you grew up in the 20 teens, if you want to listen to more modern trap style production, then the Migos is about as iconic and about as skipless of an album as you're going to get. So I could see that there. You do have, I guess, a group rapping is kind of fun as well too. The variety of different, people on the tracks versus, I guess, again, T.I., but T.I. himself is able to carry. Ready to Die by B.I.G., for sure. It's going to get you in that gangster mindset. But I think that the energy from the production from T.I.'s album's a little bit stronger. Again, I'm just saying the energy for the gym. Not saying that the production on Ready to Die is weaker than the production on King. But I think the production on King is a little bit more appropriate for a workout. And I think that, again, the aggressive lyrics of Biggie, hey yo, it's gonna motivate you. It is what it is. You're gonna be in a killer's mindset. But It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Ooh, that's another one. It's gonna be lyrically maybe a little bit more aggressive. In the dark production on that, I mean, I would say It's Dark and Hell is Hot over the Marshall Mathers LP just in terms of listening. Again, I don't know if you would say all time if that, if everybody would share that opinion. Again, obviously Marshall Mathers LP is one of the greatest selling of all time. But that might be another one as well too. And again, Good Kid, Mad City, it's, a short film. So I don't know. It's like, do you listen to a short film at the gym? I mean, obviously you do. But I think for this sake, different category. Beer Bongs and Bentleys by Post Malone. Hey, yo. And then 2 Drake albums and a Big Sean album. Hall of Fame by Big Sean as a gym album. Views is, and like Take Care, those albums are like the R&B influence. And Scorpion, it does have, again, maybe those aux bangers that are going to be good for the gym for sure. But I don't know. I do think that maybe King for the gym specifically over Views. I would maybe argue Views all time over. Oh, yeah, that's tough. Again, just cultural impact in the moment. You can't say that Views wasn't a strong album when it dropped for sure, and still gets replayed as well too. 2014 Forest Hills Drive by Cole is a great album, but that's like, cozy in your room on a rainy day. That's like, a kid made fun of you on the school bus. So now you gotta, I guess motivate yourself to feel better. That's J. Cole. But, Victory Lap by Nipsey Hussle is one as well, too. That is definitely, I think Culture by Migos so far and Victory Lap by Nipsey Hussle are the strongest two gym albums that we got. We'll also say DS2 by Future, but again, not say that we need to save room for another one. Oh, here's some of the rock albums: Black and Black, Toxicity, Hybrid Theory, and Back in Black by AC/DC. Obviously, we know the track. I mean, shout out. We did just get Iron Man on DVD. We did get somebody from work hooked us up with that. Hey, yo, shout out to them. But Back in Black is, maybe we throw that one on at the gym just to, just to do it. Pause. Do we've hey, yo, chat, do we admit it now? We've never worked out to rock music. So maybe we got to throw on Back in Black by ACD. I might throw that on. Actually, I do like what's the album with, I almost said Sweet Caroline. Ayo, what's the album with Sweet Child of Mine? What's the album with Sweet Child of Mine on it? Is that Guns N' Roses? That album, hot take, that album is good. That album is really good. So I know I've definitely listened to that one at the gym before, but yeah, we need to maybe throw on Back in Black. And then we've got some wild card options here. Chief Keef. Hey, yo. And I mean, obviously there's so many other, I guess I was going to say Chief Keef, Chicago rapper, but for Chief Keef, maybe think of Gucci Mane as well, too. And, Gucci Mane, great gym music as well. I mean, Jeezy, again, you could just keep going through the Southern guys for sure. Pause. But Chief Keef is definitely in the mix. And then 21 Savage and Metro Boomin as well. Juice WRLD, I mean, popular enough to be at the gym, but, kind of sad. Kind of sad. I mean, obviously, shout out, we love Juice as much as the next guy. He's obviously super important part of our music listening history, but I don't know. And maybe if you just got broken up without a high school and you need to cry it out at the gym, then Juice WRLD is probably good for that. But as an adult, I think King by T.I. is the way to go if we had to recommend. So yeah, I think that honestly, Finally Rich by Chief Keef is tough. Is that the Mount Rushmore of contenders over King if we had to make the case, I guess? And again, I would say for me, as much as I am intrigued by the cases for these albums, these are going to be tough to beat, that's for sure. Pause. Like I would say, King's our album. It is what it is. But yeah, I would say Finally Rich, Finally Rich, Victory Laps, Culture, and then was there one more? Oh, DS2 was the fourth one. I almost want to put DS2 in the popular category because again, that's another one where people are just like, and not say that doesn't deserve all the credit that it gets. I mean, again, we love that album as well too. It could be our favorite album of, again, speaking great years, of 2015. It could be our favorite album of that year. Rodeo also dropped that year as well. I mean, Drake dropped that year. There's so many great projects that dropped that year, but it could be DS2. But I feel like that one does get enough current critical love as well to get in that category. But also, and like we're saying, like, hey, yo, Jid. Like, you could obviously listen to Jid at the gym. Hey, yo, that might just be a new segment on the pod. I don't know how we'll work that out, but we might just be listening to Jid at the gym. But yeah, hey, yo, we'll say that. I guess it could just be, we could just put King on the Mount Rushmore with these albums. So we've got King, Finally Rich, Culture, and Victory Lap as the 4 best gym albums of all time. Change my mind, chat. Change my mind. And again, trying to strip it a little specifically for the gym. I guess, in the moment, obviously, some of these albums are as successful as each other. Like, like Finally Rich, super impactful, even still. Chief Keef, again, King sells 500,000 copies its first week. So you can't necessarily say that it's like an underrated successful, underrated hit. But, again, regardless, in terms of the amount that people are spinning it today, I feel like it is definitely, a little underspun. Hey, yo, but maybe it's like a nice car, like we're saying, where you don't want to go, but no, you do want to drive it all the time. It is what it is. Pause. Hey, yo. But that's like it's like, like the mac and cheese of albums. It can be gourmet. It can be simple. I don't know, like a burger. Like it literally just never, you can just have a burger every day and it's just great. It is what it is. You know what's always good? It's like a peanut butter and jelly. It's like the peanut butter, King by T.I. is the peanut butter and jelly of albums. But it's more sophisticated. That's maybe the mac and cheese element. Like it's like mac and cheese, like Gouda. It can be mac and cheese with Gouda and, brie. I don't know. You probably wouldn't mix those together in a mac and cheese. But, it can have like 6 of the fanciest cheeses, that you can throw in there. And it can also just be Velveeta and just be as good. It can be, again, a simple gym album, or it can be a look at the world of T.I. as well, too. It can be like a autobiographical, because it was also attached to his film ATL as well, too. Which, make no mistake, we might do a part 2 tomorrow and just, pay respects to the anniversary of ATL. Because, again, it was dropped alongside this as well. So the 20-year anniversary of one of the last great rapper movies? Not rapper movies, but like the biopic rapper doing the Eminem 8 Mile thing. Because make no mistake, we already, make no mistake, we did not miss the anniversary of the Get Rich Die Tryin' movie when that dropped, because that was the 20-year anniversary of that last year. So, not to say that we missed the anniversary of ATL this year, but, we had to go with the album to start. It is what it is. But yeah, best gym albums of all time. There we go. We got the list. So maybe we'll put up a poll and see. Pause. Hey, yo. Whoa. Maybe we'll put up a poll on the YouTube and see which one actually wins. I feel like Culture by Migos is a star. And honestly, as I'm thinking about it now, again, I do like listening to T.I. more, but Culture by Migos, is it better? It might be better. And again, am I saying now, do I like listening to it more, but I do listen to T.I. more? Now I'm just confusing myself. I don't even know what my own list is at this point. This is why the Spotify Wrapped is important. You're like, oh, yep, the numbers don't lie. That's actually what I listen to the most. And, T.I.'s artist page as well, too, is obviously going to rack up those streams this year. Pause, because, that Let 'Em Know single is as good as any single that anybody has dropped this year. And shout out, Billboard will post, like, the top songs that are played in ATL strip clubs for the year. I guess that's how they have it listed. Atlanta strip clubs for the year, but ATL as well too. Can we pull up that list? Let's see what we got here. Billboard strip club charts. Hey, yo. Again, this is professional numbers, professional stuff. And I guess who's the guy for the Luke Cornett just tuned out of the pod now that we've brought up Magic City. But I think T.I. got the #1 spot. Of course you're going to be playing T.I., but he's back now. Future got the #1 spot. It is what it is. What's his? This is overall artist though. But yeah, the new sheriff in town, T.I. Let him know usurps the throne and sits #1 for February. So again, as a song, T.I. gets the #1 song in February in Atlanta strip clubs. Shout out. But yeah, Future, I guess, is an artist. Hey, yo, like clearing the lane with everybody. 771 Future plays to 637, or hey, not even that. 771 Future plays to 367 Lil Baby plays. So he's got twice as many plays as Lil Baby. Metro Boomin #3 with 255. Bossman D-Lo 246. Jeezy 218. Jeezy 218 to Future 771 is disrespectful. That's crazy. Future definitely has probably more songs just because he's dropped more music. But, we can't just keep replaying those Jeezy songs. It is what it is. So, But yeah, the top 10, I guess, Quadruple, TM88, and Future, Metro Boomin, DJ Spin, Schoolie, DeGod, all the people. This was off of the mixtape, yeah, Futuristic Summers. So that's #9. Bally Baby and Belly Gang, Cushington, Hustlin' MF Part 2. 42 plays. #8, we got Pooh Shiesty, FDO, 44 plays. Jeezy and Bankroll Fresh, Ayo, all there. Of course, a staple. It is what it is. 48 plays. Up to #5 from last month. #10, Taffy Pluto, Feeling My Body, 40 remix, 49 plays. Not ranked, I guess. Is this another new one that we need to throw on? Pop Dat Thing by The Baby. Shout out. Another underrated project from the year, The Baby. Throw that one on. That's a good listen for sure. Definitely some good gym albums. I don't know if I'd say a gym album, but a good album. Obviously, we're pro to Baby's music on the pod, so you know we'll defend it, but defend the album anyways. Yeah, number 4 though, at least it stayed consistent, 50 plays every month. Shout out. I guess there's a quota there. Maybe I guess we don't want to accuse him of anything, but Gunna and Burna Boy with 71 plays at number 3. Belly Gang, Cushington again, and YK Nice at 83 plays, number 2, and then Let 'Em Know 88, number 1. I guess it's been out for a minute, so I guess I don't know why they weren't playing it last month. But yeah, I guess 20 years later he's back and still number 1 in Atlanta strip clubs. So you love to see the dominance. I mean, again, literal stats, and on the court, T.I. is just as good now as he was back then. It is what it is. But like we're saying, this project still manages to last pause like that as well too. So, hey, yo, and I mean, just like that, Chad, I mean, we just run right through the track list. We didn't even mention a lyric. Hey, yo, it is what it is. But an hour, I mean, where's the bloat? Who said that? Who said that? It is what it is. But do we need to take a look at, I was trying to see if we take a look at some of these lists here to see where it ended up back in the day. I guess Billboard charted number 1, there we go, for the weeklies. I guess I thought we had a year end or something to look at. But yeah, we did have the 8.4 on Pitchfork, like we mentioned. Hip Hop DX, a 3.5 out of 5. Here, I guess let's see what the site said about it back in the day. So again, it hit that instant classic status. Obviously, didn't necessarily slack there, but yeah, I do feel like it could get more plays in 2026. That is for sure. I mean, chat. I mean, we might be just bumping bankroll now after this. It is what it is. This is one of the tracks that we haven't just played on repeat at the gym, because we've talked about how we'll just throw a track on repeat, just play it 40 times during a workout. But Matt Sabula from 2006, I'm already on a record around here as saying that okay, so this is the article we're quoting. I'm already on record around here saying that T.I. is one of America's greatest songwriters, and I'm not just talking about hip hop either. See, chat, right away, lyrically underrated. Even if you add all the other genres that people go all Google over, T.I. strides this narrow world like a colossus. No one is smarter, no one constructs tighter songs, and no one has more ways to score. This is proven over and over again on King, T.I.'s 4th album. By now, you might well have heard the menacing first single, What You Know. This instant classic has been all over the place with its interweaving layers in gong synth, interweaving layers of goth synth. Hey, yo. What is gong synth, chat? I guess that might be a different style of music. With its interweaving sounds of goth synth and T.I.'s ionic gangster drawl. I don't know if we said that one word right, but it's stunning. A real cathedral of menace. A cathedral of menace, chat. He should make the next album that. Hey, yo. Forget Kill the Thing. Just call it Cathedral of Menace. Hey, yo. Not only is it one of the best track, not only is it the best track DJ Tomb has ever done, but it features a brilliantly exhausted performance by T.I., who just wants all the haters to shut up, but doesn't want any boring drama. This song, as iconic and huge as it is not the real early highlight of the album. That would be the song the Just Plays produce, I'm Talking to You. The subject matter is not necessarily original, calling out fake rappers, ho-hum, but the way T.I. goes about it is as original in 2 ways. First, he gets specific about who he's not talking to. Hey, with the implications being that everyone else suspects. Secondly, being that everyone else is suspect. Everyone else is suspect. Secondly, about halfway through, he upshifts from standard modern southern rap parlance to double time workout that seemed to nod to both Twista and old Miami booty bass. This louder stylistic twist is as good. Chad, we have to zoom in. I mean, we have good eyes, but it is what it is. This ladder stylistic twist is as good. Is a good old fashioned. See, that didn't even help. Is a good old fashioned show off gauntlet throw. It becomes the heart of the record. But there is a lot of heart here to go around. T.I.'s greatest stylistic weapon is the sincerity he projects in every song, whether he's lamenting the pain of losing his friends and family to violence. The heartbreaking Live in the Sky with Jamie Foxx doing the lovely gospel vocal, flirting with all the ladies over squiggly Germanic techno beats, Stand Up Guy, and Todd Rundgren samples, Hello, or inviting listeners to visit tough-ass neighborhoods in Atlanta to see the other America, Ride With Me. He sees a lot of different sides to every issue. He sounds as comfortable rhyming with Ultra Thugs UGK on Front Back as he does with conscious rap cover dude Common on Good Life. Hey, yo, great point, chat. Not every track here has some kind of wild, new, never been heard before beat. I mean, it does. That's what we're saying. Like, there are elements of it. Like, you hear this sound other places, but the way that T.I. is attacking, like he's saying, is, about the best that anybody can attack this type of production. Not every track has some kind of never heard before you beat. This has some internet beat nerds up in arms, but who cares what they think? Keith Mack's track for Told You So is a low-key reggae-influenced slog, but the song still works because of the laser point lyrical attack, which is carefully composed from beginning to end, even though it sounds like it's freestyled. This is a tricky thing, even when the beat is all shiny. Swizbeak's track, Get It, sounds like a Rich Harrison jam, all huge drum loops and bass stabs, but T.I. picks a syncopated lyrical rhythm that lets him ride through the busy track in high style. T.I. is the whole package. Pause. Gritty, smooth, smart, dangerous, introspective, and wise. And while it's pretty early in 2006 to start talking about album of the year, this record says it's time to start talking. I mean, April? Hey, yo. I mean, Don Toliver dropped in January this year, so it's possible to have album of the year early. It is what it is. We see it really with the 9 as well, too, on the rating. I don't know where the 8.4 got listed on the Wikipedia. It is what it is. Oh, Jay Dilla. We didn't even mention Jay Dilla for Best of '06 as well, too. When we were talking about Hell Hath No Fury and stuff. But let's see if we have a list here. I guess Best Producer, Jay Dilla. Best Rap Group or Duo, The Roots with Game Theory. Best MC/Street Narrative. So they gave Ghostface Killah with Fish Scale. And then, King of the South. I think it just gave T.I. his own award. King of the South. Hey, yo, shout out. Let's say, I'll just put it over there. My name is Quentin, and I'm a recovering T.I. hater. Yep. It says, that was me. Yep, you saw me staring at the ads for his movie A-Tail with my arms folded, my mouth all bunched up like the knot of a balloon. Then came the title for his 2006 release, King, and I unleashed no shortage of whatevers. Oh, chat, this guy is a hater. Ayo, but when I listened closer to his discharming southern drawl, it was clear that T.I.'s grand hustle was a product of grander design. Brother got flows, y'all, and he told you so. Reviewer Matt Chuba said, Clifford T.I. is one of America's greatest songwriters. Hey, yo, sounds familiar. And I agree, the self-anointed king rides mercilessly down those Atlanta, Georgia streets, tossing off impeccable rhymes as if they're afterthoughts. T.I. is dangerous because, like many who work to hone their craft, he makes complex sound easy. Whether he's kicking dust at haters, reminding himself of his blessings, or working his game on a sister who is in a bad relationship, T.I. made me a believer this year. What you know about that, yo? I won't know about that. Recommended for the Dirty South. Oh, Scarface, Mojo, Birdman, and Lil Wayne, and Ludacris as well too. I guess some other Southern recommendations there on this. But what did else they had there for Street Narrative? I guess so they had Clips. I guess as the runner-up to Fish Scale. Oh wow! And then Jedi Mind Tricks, Servants in Heaven, and Exhibit as well too, and Method Man. Also listed Political Rap, Dead Presidents, Confidential is the album that they dropped. Best Protest Album, The Coup, Pick a Bigger Weapon, Hustler Award, Sugar Free, Just Add Water. We've got Dope Underground Album Award / Coolest Use of Technology, Tanya Morgan Moonlighting. I mean, I'm just sold on this album cover as like a Reasonable Doubt style. Hey, yo. I mean, that's iconic look right there for sure. And then Best Debut goes to Lupe, like we said earlier. And then Best Female MC, C-Money, The Butterfly Effect. So I guess we got a good little 10 awards there for 2006 from Pitchfork back in the day. But yeah, you know, T.I. has to be mentioned. It is what it is. One of the greats. We still have to mention it 20 years later because the album, like we're saying, is every bit as good now as it was back then. I mean, you know, we're 3 songs back in, pause, and we haven't even noticed. It is what it is. So we will take one more quick break, and we'll be right back to wrap up the live stream for the night and say our goodbyes, chat. It is what it is. But shout out to T.I. because, like I said, this album lives on and will live another 20 years, chat, on Spotify. We'll get the vinyl and make sure, it stays frozen. We'll get a vinyl, lock it in resin, bury it in the ground. So we'll make sure that if anything happens, T.I.'s album stays alive. It is what it is. We'll bury King. If you buried, honestly, if we did that with Good Kid, Mad City, King, and Thriller in, like, what's the name? Whitney Houston. That the album's just Whitney. Is it Whitney or Whitney Houston? Hey, I think the first 2 albums are just Whitney and then Whitney Houston and then like Whitney middle name Houston. Whitney Houston sings again. No, I feel like what's the second album called? If it was those 4, you're good. Oh yeah, Whitney Houston was the first album, and then Whitney is the second album. So she's actually taken it. So Whit would have been the first, would have been in the third one. And then, oh wait, Just Whitney was 2002. So Whitney's Dancing Special, 1986 as well. And then the Bodyguard soundtrack, shout out. I guess not saying it like that because and saying it like that because its title is not have Whitney Houston's name in it. That's what. Oh, Whitney Houston Live, and then the gospel music of Whitney Houston. So yeah, it should have been the Bodyguard soundtrack by Whitney Houston, which is basically what it is. But that should have been the official title. I guess her name is on the cover because it's the Bodyguard official soundtrack. But you got Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston as like the co-star name there. So I kind of passes. It is what it is. Her name is on every album, I guess, is technically the way it works. I guess is it. Well, my Love Is Your Love doesn't have any text on it. I guess neither does Just Whitney. Both of those are just pictures. Hey, Just Whitney is literally, Just Whitney, artistic. It is what it is. But I guess either way, the second album, if you bear, and you could bear the first one as well too. I mean, In the Ground, save it. Like we're saying that like I'm gonna bury the album, never listen to it. No. We're saying save it for the apocalypse. We want it to last for forever. But so if you saved the second album, Whitney, and then King by T.I., Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar, and Thriller by Michael Jackson, maybe do you get like a Frank Sinatra in there just to try to get as much of music history as possible? So I guess, but he has so many, I don't even know what his best album is. And like what's a cover, what's original Frank Sinatra songs? Now we're, getting political as well too. But just as an easy definition of like, 50s music. Ayo, Nat King Cole. We go Nat King Cole, Ray Charles. Oh, Steve. Oh, chat. Ayo, Songs in the Key of Life. I know we moved up a couple years, but Songs in the Key of Life would be crazy. Okay, anyways, we'll build a time capsule later. We'll be right back. Okay, chat, we are back. Time to quickly scan the league before we take off for the evening. And the announcer on NBC just said, as the Blazers Clipper game, which is on right now, that game just the first quarter ended, as you say. And the announcer just said, the Blazers and the Clippers battle it out for play-in supremacy. Hey, yo, supremacy. I don't know if that's the word that you want to be, play in positioning, pause, like, hey, one season, we're maybe down a little bit, like we need to use the play-in game to get into the playoffs. That's totally understandable. I mean, Luka made the finals as a 7 or 8 seed. There's nothing wrong with, I guess, being a 7 or 8 seed or even a 9 or 10 seed if you're able to win that 7 or 8 seed. But to say that you're a play-in supremacy, that's crazy. That's obviously the Eastern Conference as well, too, where the even more so now being known as the Miami, Chicago, Atlanta Invitational. So, that fourth team hasn't necessarily been able to keep up in the same way, notoriety-wise. They haven't had a fourth team emerge. But those three teams have actually been battling for playoff supremacy in the East. So, we need to check the Blazers' play-in history the last couple of years. The Clippers? Hey, yo. And I guess the Clippers just being back in the play-in game is something as well, too, with the way the season started. But the Magic with a sneaky win tonight against the Phoenix Suns by 4 points. They were winning this game pretty good at one point, but I guess the Phoenix came back in the fourth quarter a little bit with a 38-24 quarter and made the score a lot closer. But, Booker with 34, 8 for 16. Iguodala with 10 rebounds as well, too. Interesting stat line. And Bane led the team in scoring, and I think even left the game at one point. Came back in and still managed to lead him in scoring. Is that what happened? Or was that just like a timeout that he just ran into the bench or ran into the locker room real quick? Jamal Cain, 4 for 5 from the field. And our guy, Jett Howard, 4 for 6. I feel like Jett Howard's had some good games lately. I feel like he's had some moments where he's checked in. Jett Howard's been making baskets. Hey, yo. I don't know if that's the, should you be surprised when that happens with an NBA player? It's not the surprise. It's just people forget that he was the 11th pick in the draft. Hey, I forgot exactly where he'd gotten picked. I was going to say lottery, but yeah, 11th pick in the draft. 36% from 3. Serviceable. Hey, look at that. 1 for 1. 2 for 2. I guess 1 for 3, 1 for 2, 1 for 3. Oh, chat. He needs to keep up the consistency, but he made 3 in a row there over 2 games. Like, come on, he's putting up numbers. Per 36. Can we get a number here for Jett Howard? 15 a game. A 15-point-a-game score. A very, very, very productive contributor. If you let him, get starter-level minutes. So I think we could see Jett Howard be like a rotation guy for this team. 14 minutes. Like, he could definitely continue to make it his way. I guess no Franz, no Anthony Black tonight, so they're definitely down some guys. It's going to help Jett Howard get the minutes. And you do see Javon Carter with 22. Like, he's got some guys to compete over at that spot. But Carter was 0 for 6 tonight, so if that keeps up, then, I guess Jett Howard can stay on the list. But I guess they were both the same plus minus -12, -13 for both of those guys. But either way, I guess just, shout out to Jeff Howard. He could actually, people forget, he could actually make his way in NBA rotation. It is possible in 2026. Yeah, Booker. Oh, there we go. 16 for 19 from the free throw line. So only, 20 more to go to get to 40? And then that gets him to, I guess 20 more free throws gets him to 50 points. And then he would need 30 more points from field goals because Bam only had 5 more threes. But that gets him 15, so that's it. That's the 50. That gets him into that 65 range. Now he needs 20 more points. So 10 more shots, 28 field goals. I mean, it's right there. 84 is right there for him. Only 50 more points than this performance. Is there even 50 points to take away from his teammates here? Hey, yo. Seems like the math is not mathin' to get to 111. But, I mean, Rasheer Fleming with 11 points. Grayson Allen, I guess, with 10. 14 shots. Hey, yo, 10 3-pointers. He takes a couple of Grayson Allen 3-pointers. I guess, shout out Rasheer Fleming, but he takes Rasheer Fleming's shots as well, too. Like, boom, there we go. 84 points for our guy, Devin Booker. Charlotte getting back on track versus Brooklyn after, the defeat to Phoenix. And we said that earlier, of course, we didn't say it. I mean, it's happening. New York is in a slide. We're talking about the Knicks basketball record the last 3 games. But one of the teams that they did lose to, of course, was the Hornets there. So that's why we were getting a little hyped up about them. Did we say that they could win the East? I think we just said that nobody in the East is that fearsome right now. And the Hornets can play with anybody in the East. So, do it what you will. But Sion James, 22 minutes. I was going to say 22 points. Actually, 0 points. Shout out. But plus 15. So he was balling. I guess they were playing Brooklyn, so, they won by 40. But, yeah, unfortunately, Sion James wasn't able to get any of them. LaMelo with 14, Miller with 25. Knuppel, 4 for 12. He's letting Cooper Flagg take that Rookie of the Year. We're finally seeing the percentages start to slip. Pause. Obviously we want success for everybody, and we wouldn't trade Dylan Harper either way. But it is nice when the argument gets a little bit easier there for at least year 1 as well. If Knuppel can't make a shot, then yes, I would much rather have Dylan Harper. And the defense is going to be a nice add as well, too. There, 25 for Brandon Miller tonight is nice. Hopefully the Brooklyn performance can give him some good rhythm going into the last couple of games of the year here. Manoit with 14 for Brooklyn. Zaire with 10. 10, 14. Their leading scores, 7. 11. They had a guy with 11. So some brutal nights. If you're Brooklyn, it is what it is. But this is tough. 86 in 2026 is pretty crazy. And your highest individual performer had 14 points. No disrespect. 1 for 7 from 3 it's a tough night. It is what it is. They better hope that Jay-Z concert's really good. Those Brooklyn fans, those New York fans are going to need something. I guess, the Knicks as well, too, making a run. Duran with 31 as he, continues to lead this team without Cade. 7 for, was he? I was going to say, yeah, he was 12 for 13 tonight. I thought I saw that on the other part of the page there, but clicked away too quickly. But 12 for 13 is crazy. So shout out, Jenkins 5 assists, Asar Thompson 5 assists, Tobias Harris with 6 assists. I mean, the passing is on point for this team. Paul Reed with 5 assists, Kevin Huerter with 3 assists. Literally everybody that plays a lot is going to get multiple assists. Karis LeVert with 2 assists as the low guy on the team actually makes sense, but he was good tonight, 5 for 7. So you got to give him credit there. A 0-point performer as the game goes tonight against the Raptors in an 11-point victory. But yeah, you see Asar plus 15, and then Duncan Robinson plus 10 as well too. Dennis Jenkins plus 13. AJ Lawson with 13 tonight off the bench. Colin Murphy-Boyles 14. Mamushvili 14. One of the great April end of season performances. Mamushvili, of course, had that great heat check performance for San Antonio last year. Felt like we should have kept him around because of that, but I guess he gets to put up 16 points in Toronto and have fun there. Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett both in the 20s for their game tonight. And then I guess Houston, New York. Like we said, this game was in the background, but to get a final score update here, Houston to 46 wins, so they could be looking like a 50-win team. Would be a pretty crazy outcome for them. And I know maybe it wouldn't be the exact path to 50 wins you would have thought at the beginning of the season, a little bit of a rougher path there, but regardless, for them to get to that kind of threshold would, I think, be a good relief anyways for that fan base. But Towns with 20, Brunson 12, 5 for 14. There was a time in this game when Alvarado was leading the team in scoring, so it just wasn't the team's offensive night. Shout out to the Houston defense. 42% from the field, 29% from 3 for New York in this game. 1 for 5 from Brunson, 1 for 6 from Josh Hart, 2 for 8 from Anunoby. Is brutal. And then 1 for 5 from McBride as well too. I mean, they have Abigail Alvarado, so they did make moves to shore up that backup point guard spot just in case. But yeah, now that McBride is back, it does, of course, continue to add to the rotation, make them more interesting. But once again, they just seem like they find themselves buried into some deficits throughout the course of the season. you definitely can't go through a 7-game series with those types of habits. Anyways, and like we said, we need to do a lineup check on the Rockets. Maybe next live stream we'll do some type of stats dive on some of this stuff because we do need to catch up on some of that headed into the playoffs here and see how we kind of see how some of this. Hey, yo, whoa, take two, and see how some of this stuff kind of maps out. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to see how some of the Durant versus Sengun versus those guys apart lineups would play together. And pause Durant with, again, like Asar and Eason and Jabari, and who did they have in there tonight? Was it Tate? Oh, it was Reed Shepherd. It was Reed Shepherd in for Sengun. That was pretty crazy. You see, I guess Sengun +8, Reed Shepherd +10, so it's not overall crazy. It's Durant and Eason with the biggest, and Amen with the biggest plus-minus impacts tonight. Pause. But the Reed Shepherd, bring in extra, because he does, you get like an actual playmaker there, if that makes sense. Because if you bring in Sengun, you get, of course, the post scoring and the size and the interior, defense that he could potentially provide you there, the rebounding. But 4 rebounds in 39 minutes is, that's amen. Okay, there we go. 10 assists, 5 rebounds for Sengun. So much better. Maybe the Rockets just in general need to be better at rebounding. Good collective rebounding team though. 38 to 41 is not too bad on the rebounding battle. I guess when you win the game by as much as they did though, to lose the rebounding battle like that is, a little bit of maybe not something that should totally happen. But either way, you get like an actual playmaker with Reed Shepherd on the court because, again, when Sengun is in there, he ends up kind of having to take some of the point guard responsibilities, amen as well too, but you end up running a lot of the stuff through Sengun. If it's Reed Shepherd, you get kind of that traditional point guard look. There's spacing there. Obviously, Durant, amen. Like we're saying, there is some collective rebounding. Tari Eason can, guard anybody in the league. I was looking at some weird stats with Tari Eason and Wemby. And I was like, that's not something I necessarily want to see if the Rockets are going to be a threat in the playoffs. Like, the Thunder, I was seeing stats where Wemby what are we saying? He toasts Kenrich Williams. So it's like, maybe we'll play the Thunder just so we can get matched up against Kenrich Williams. He does not toast Tari Eason. So we don't want to play the Rockets, I guess, for that reason. But that Reed Shepherd's versus Sengun swap would be interesting for, final minutes. And I mean, they played almost an equal amount as well, too. 28 to 30 minutes for both of those guys. So obviously there is a debate there internally about how to divvy up the lineups. But Dallas versus Milwaukee, I guess, is the last game on the schedule here. Cooper Flag with 19, 6 for 19 from the field. So, not the crazy efficient game, I guess, to make up some of those field goal percentages he needs, maybe for Knuppel, but I guess, do you need those? Probably not for Rookie of the Year. 19 and 10, so double tonight. 3 assists, 3 turnovers, but 3 steals, so he's, kind of even all across the board there. He made up some points with the assists, but lost them with the turnovers, but they got the ball back, pause with the steals, and did get a block as well, too. But minus 27 tonight is crazy. The biggest plus minus, the biggest negative in the plus minus category. Max Christie was a minus 26, the 2 foundational pieces of the team. Hey, yo. And Brandon Williams minus 22. So the main guys just got toasted tonight. They got cooked up and fried. It is what it is. Jericho Sims plus 28. Ryan Rollins, there he is, plus 33, 24 points. Gary Trent Jr., 13 points. AJ Green, 17 points. It's an AJ Green 3-point night. Sometimes it's just going to be a loss for the other team. It is what it is. And we do also, like we said, in addition to this Portland Clippers game, have this Lakers versus Cavs game running right now as well, too. James Harden, 3 for 9 to start. Yeah, Cleveland down 12. Hey, yo. So the Eastern Conference non-Boston teams not helping their case. And the Lakers just continue to look better and more playoff ready. I'm sure as the playoffs approach that, this team is, maybe they're a playoff team. Maybe they need that motivation to play their best basketball. Bronny with 4 minutes tonight. I mean, there's a chance that Bronny could be like a 9th man going into the playoffs for him. I mean, You've got Maxi Kleber, Jared Vanderbilt, Drew Timmy, Dalton Connect, Adu Thoreau, and Kobe Buffkin. I mean, I get that Kobe Buffkin's a higher draft pick. Maybe Connect. But I think Bronny could be better defensively than Connect. And Bronny's +9 tonight. So, shout out in 4 minutes. Hey, yo, pause. So, can Bronny be better than those guys? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. He does need to consistently get just a little bit more consistent with that jumper. Would be a little bit helpful. That's for sure. But, hey, yo, we will be back on the Friday live stream. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you for jumping on with us tonight. Of course, if you're familiar, the schedule is Sunday, Tuesday, Friday here on the REMINGTOM pod. So you can join us on the YouTube channel those days, nights for a fun live stream hangout. We love joining you guys here, and we hope, hopefully we'll join you guys for the next one. Look forward to seeing you then. So yeah, follow the YouTube channel, follow the podcast feeds. You can connect with us over at REMINGTOM on Instagram if you want to send us a message that way as well too. So thank you guys for being the community. Hey yo, shout out. Like I said, we love hanging out with you guys. So we look forward to joining you again Friday night. We'll see y'all then. Peace.